Good morning, everybody. For some of you, it may be creeping up on the afternoon. My name is Trigger Mike, and welcome to the Trigger Mike Show. Today is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. Thank y'all for continuing to rock with the show and the Lapeef Network in general. Give a round of applause to yourselves, making it out of the work week. Hopefully, it was unscathed. For those of you here in Texas, what are you doing? It is uncharacteristically cold in Houston right now. All right. I mean, I got the heat cranked all the way up. You don't even know, it doesn't even get this cold to where you don't even know how to mess with the thermostat to get the heat right between upstairs and downstairs. I was burning up in here last night, but I think I tweaked it. I think I got it down. If not, got this nice little sweater, had to take out of the storage. But hopefully everybody is doing well on this Tuesday morning. Again, welcome to the Trigger Mike Show. Greetings and thanks to everybody in the chat and salute to you. If you are coming on to this show, it's your first time, welcome to the Trigger Mike Show. We get into a bunch of topics that need to be discussed, and we go a little deeper into it than most people do. All right, we are not bound by the restrictions of any conglomerate network, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what we need to do to get to the bottom of our issues in society on the Trigger Mike Show. If you can, please make a financial contribution to the show as we try to scale things up for you. If you can't do that, if you not something you really do in support of these shows, there is something you can also do to support. I would like you to go down in the corner, hit that subscribe button if you have not hit it already. Also, you can hit that bell for notifications so you can be notified every time a show comes on the Lapeef Network. This network has a great group of shows for you. Tonight we have King Talk. Last night we had The Solution. Excellent show. All right. So all of the stuff that you want to hear about, the issues, if you just want to see people go back and forth and have high level intelligent conversation, and sometimes if you want to see some ratchetness too, it's all available on the Lapeef Network for you. Something else you can also do, and this is a Trigger Mike ask. This is what I'm asking you to do. I need you to go down and hit that share button. Don't leave the stream. Hit that share button. Share this out to the people in your Instagram chat. Share this as a post on your Facebook and any other social networks that allow you to share the show with an instant click. Go ahead and do that right now. Let people know what you're watching, and people who may also enjoy this type of content, we want to see them on this show as well. I appreciate your support in that way immensely. Thank you so much for doing that. Salute to the chat. My chat ninjas, always faithful. Let's see who we got in here. What's going on, Dale Matthew? The accountability partner, my guy. Hey, my own avatar would be sweet. Would be sweet. I wonder if it's going to have a gray streak in the middle so everybody knows it's me. That's my signature right there. That's why everybody think I'm in my 40s and I'm in my 30s. But anyway, Jeffrey Woodland, my military brother, what's going on, man? Kyle Taylor, what's up? What's up? Mrs. Nurse Fancy, always faithful. Hey, Nurse Fancy, tell me what you think about all those nurses with the fake degrees. Should we be worried or what? Hank, my man, what's going on? All right, Daryl Brown, best show on YouTube right now. I appreciate the admiration, man. Show your support, share this out so other people can partake as well. All right. Neo Moses, what's going on? Good morning to you. Red Lipstick Vibes, always faithful. Miss Jill, always faithful. Thank you so much for rocking with the show and supporting. Double Dopamine, I appreciate the support and admiration. Thinking Throwed Podcast. Yeah, you're in Houston. It's cold. Every morning I go, I'm not going to say it because she's going to start talking. But I talk to the machine and say, what's the weather for today? She said 33. I said, excuse me? Did not expect that at all. I had to put double layers on my children. My children are Texans, okay? Me and my wife are from the East Coast. My children know nothing about this type of cold. And I prefer them to know nothing about it. Andre Lewis, what's going on? Art Cook, what's going on? Sherwin Thomas, what's going on? Mother J, always faithful. Thank you for coming through. Ra Tahar, appreciate that, man. Thank you for coming through. Khalif Willis, what's up? What's up? My man Izzy. Israel from Fight Club. Scam likely. Yes, I am younger than you. Look, just a quick story on how I got all these grades, man. I think the time I saw a group of my friends was right around the time I was about to get married. I was 31, about to turn 32 in a few months. I had like maybe 10 just isolated on different areas of my chin. And I said, I'm going to pluck them. Everybody said, don't pluck them. They're going to come back by the tens after that. I plucked all them shits and it all came in it's looked like this ever since. So don't pluck your gray hairs. They will come back with a vengeance. That stuff is true. Khalif Willis, what's going on? Dynamite Dame, Dario Dublin, Isaiah Jr., what's up, what's up? So that's how I ended up with all this gray hair. It was not like I had just a few to let people know, I got a little wisdom coming up in the world, but all this gray came in. I dye it sometimes. So when you see me dye it, you'll realize I am 36 years old. All right. It's only this gray that ages me quickly. But yeah, we got a hell of a topic for you today, ladies and gentlemen. This particular topic comes from yesterday. All right. This particular topic comes from yesterday. Yesterday, the topic was your whole phase worth it? And somehow in the midst of that topic, people started slandering the institution of marriage. We had people come up like John the Baptist, marriage, politics, and sports. Mr. Walker is also married. Forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone. But these are all married brothers. And it was a lot of married people in the chat as well. Like, Clement Gray. All these people were like, why are y'all slandering the institution of marriage? So I had other topics, but I felt like I needed to address this today. And I'm going to let y'all know why I let that rock. Sometimes when I hear our brothers and sisters down talking the institution of marriage, I actually want to know what their concerns are. I want to know exactly what they feel about it because they're all mistaken. Make no mistake about that. They are all mistaken. But I want to know exactly where the disdain comes from. What is rooted in? We got to hear the complaint so we can correct it. So, I definitely appreciate all my guys that came on standing guard at the gate for the institution of marriage. As the moderator and the host, I need to know. I need to collect that data so we know what to address on this show. And the topic for today is the value of marriage defined. If you don't know, you're going to know today. If you don't know the value of marriage, by the end of the show today, you will have a pretty good idea. I'm going to give you the raw, unadulterated truth about the value of marriage and why you should stop desecrating it with immediate effect. You know I get worked up. I'm not gonna. Let me get through the monologue first. We talked about yesterday's convo. That's how we got here. I told you why I let it slide. So let's continue. So how did we get to this place in society, ladies and gentlemen? How did we get to a place where shaming marriage became a thing? Everybody take a moment and ponder on that. How did we get to this particular point in society today? Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you got little brothers, little sisters, older brothers, older sisters that you feel can benefit from this conversation, go ahead and invite them to the conversation right now. If you have young ones or people that are 18 years old and they're sitting on a PlayStation, let them know right now they need to be in on this conversation because all they hear is the negative about the institution of marriage. We're here to define the value of marriage for you here today. So everybody has stake in this particular conversation, whether you believe it or not. So how did we get here? Listen, for those of you, I'm going to talk to these people first. For those of you that don't believe in the institution of marriage, that think it's trash, I understand. I really do. I have a front row seat to it too. I live in the same society you do. I watch some of the same programs on TV you do. I see the behaviors and the consistency in behavior of the men and women of today's society and the decisions they decide to make and the partners they choose. whatever, what have you. I see it all. I have a front row to it as well. So I have a pretty clear picture of why you think the way you do. And you think the institution of marriage is trash, as I've seen somebody already say in the chat. But I want you to understand that it's deeper than that, okay? Shaming the institution of marriage has become a defense mechanism. I understand that some of y'all mamas didn't think enough of you to marry your father or to even make sure he secured a commitment from her before impregnating her. Some of y'all believe, and listen, we're going to go there today. If you have sensitive ears, I understand. This ain't the show for you. If some of y'all have sensitive ears, this is not the show for you. We get down to the bottom of it on the Trigger Mike show. Listen, some of you feel like you turned out okay. And from what I can tell, many of you did. But there is a deep-seated anger in you from the decision your parents made. That's why you feel comfortable shaming the institution of marriage the way you do. So let's get that out of here right now. The reason you shame it is because you can't help it. You didn't come from this institution. You felt like you could do without it because you turned out all right. Speaking in favor of marriage is almost like speaking against yourself. Even that I understand, because at no fault of your own, your parents didn't think enough of you to be together to give you that example. It ain't even your fault. That much I understand. Shaming marriage is a defense mechanism. It is an affirmation technique to people who did not grow up in marriage so they can say, I'm all right. I turned out just fine. I'm competing just fine. But for those of you that did turn out all right, how many kids did not turn out okay? That's what I want you to ask yourself. When we talk as men, and ladies, I'm talking to the men, we talk in generalities. We understand that our actions dictate the way a community is supposed to run. So when we talk in generalities. Women talk in individual occurrences. How can you watch something happen 99 times, but because you're the one that made it through, you want to die on that hill, that's the way to do it? Absolutely not. You may have turned out okay, but a majority of the children are suffering because their parents didn't think enough of them to commit to each other, to give them a stable home to grow up in. That's real talk. I understand. If you're somebody who shames marriage for that particular reason, I understand. You have deep-seated issues with your father. You have deep-seated issues with your mother because they did not think enough of you and your siblings to stay together to show you that example on how to conduct meaningful, productive, functional relationships for the entirety of your life. I understand why you do not value the institution of marriage. That makes sense. All right. We know people can give the negative details about marriage all day. Naturally, many did not come from it. But the failures and transgressions of individual spouses does not necessarily paint the picture on the value of marriage itself. I was going to wait to the end to make this statement, but I'm going to make it right now. Nothing is wrong with the institution of marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, something is wrong with you. If your marriage did not work, something is wrong with you. The institution of marriage is the most winning, it has the most awards in history on every level. It is damn near perfect, if not perfect. It is not the institution of marriage that is the problem. We as individuals are the problem. Step your game up. Stop desecrating the institution of marriage. The very pleasures you enjoy came from married people. Stop capping. Everything you got in this life, the people who stood up for you, the people that showed you the way, the people that took time to tutor you, the people that opened your grocery store, stayed late, came early, all of these people honored something. They obeyed, and it's usually coming or related to the institution of marriage that made them do so. That's what they were adhering to. Let's get deeper into it before I blow my lid. I was supposed to say that at the end. I knew I was going to blow my lid on that one. Let me get some water. All right. The value of marriage defined, ladies and gentlemen. Marriage is a part of a civilized society. That's why marriage exists. For those of you in the chat, I can see why you think marriage is stupid, because it involves monogamy for the most part. There are some polygamous marriages, but those pale in comparison to the majority of marriages, which are monogamous marriages. One woman, one man, and children. That is what we're talking about here today. Do not gaslight the hell out of my situation today. Don't gaslight this into some multi-conversation. I'm talking about the traditional monogamous marriage between a man and a woman and their children that they have together. Marriage was created so we could be a part of a civilized society. So men, in their proclivity to reproduce, would be responsible for the woman and the children they may have together. You take care of your kid so society don't have to. Isn't that the same argument that people have today? Isn't that the same argument? Doesn't something seem consistent here? But yet you're saying marriage doesn't matter? But yet you're begging with certain types of men to take care of their kids? But yet you let the words marriage doesn't matter come out of your mouth? We're going to get to the bottom of this today. Monogamy is not natural, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all know this. Very few things on earth, animals, insects, anything, practice monogamy. They mate frivolously with others. In a civilized society, monogamy, the way we understand it, has to exist. Even if you bend, you can't break it. Don't break these rules. That's why these rules exist. It was created by men. So first off, ladies, let's be honest. Stop talking to men about monogamy. We created it. Monogamy was created by men and enforced by men to make sure those men cared for their own children, so society didn't have to do it. That is instantly the value of the institution of marriage. Let me make something painfully clear. You have heard me say on multiple programs, I do not have smoke for anybody who does not want children. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't want to be married and you don't want children, literally the world is your oyster. Do as you wish. Do as you wish. Nobody should bother you other than your mama. She gonna bother the hell out of you. Maybe your grandmama too, because they want some grandbabies. But if you don't want children and you kind of so on marriage, and no, you can absolutely just go out here and be free. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Most people after 40 have at least one child. So you better concern yourself with how to best take care of them. You better concern yourself with the example you're setting for them. And all of that is done if you correctly execute the institution of marriage. Most people have children. So you better concern yourself with this institution. You better learn how to partake in it. If you don't want children, by all means, don't listen to Trigger Mike today. I ain't got nothing for you. You don't want children and you just want to work, be the best person you can be out here in this world. I got nothing to say to you. I got nothing to say to you. Be free. You're a butterfly. Nobody shall bother you. I am not out here banging on a bunch of women's door like, you need to get married. We're past that point. Women work too. They can take care of themselves now too. All right. But most of you are going to have kids, at least one, after the age of 40. After the age of 44, if I'm not mistaken, only 15% of people in general don't have kids, at least one child. So that is a fact. Stop acting like you don't need to be concerned with marriage. That's the same as saying you don't need to be concerned with how to properly rear your child. All right, moving on. Marriage makes you a better decision maker, ladies and gentlemen. Marriage makes you a better decision maker. I am about to go all the way in because some of you are going to respectfully disagree, but there is immense value in this for both men and women. We talk a lot in this space about how marriage only really has benefits for women. And yes, when we're talking in certain financial things and protective things and what the state is willing to give her, sure. But please understand, there is immense benefit for you if you're willing to do this correctly. And I'm going to teach you what that is today. Woo, steam coming off my head, yo. You know, this is one of those topics where you just tired of people. And I need to get y'all straight, but it's all good. Marriage makes you a better decision maker. Men, listen up closely. I am a spiritual man. I do believe in God. I believe there are some blessings you are not eligible for until you are a husband. I'm going to let it sink in. There are some benefits you are not eligible for until you followed God's most basic instructions. The most basic instructions God gave you. You take her body, marry her. She gives you children, marry her. I understand. Every girl ain't who you thought she was. Well, guess what? Marriage ain't about happiness. If you really want to know, it ain't about your damn happiness. For men, it has never been about happiness. Always has been about duty and adherence to the word. Do what the hell you said you was going to do. Period. A lot of you are living in the gray area that the women live in. The so, the but, and the maybe. I don't live in that gray area. Black and white. That's what I'm preaching to my men. You need to be better men in the way you adhere to what is black and white, written in stone. Children, marriage. That's it. Ain't no argument. You let the ladies argue. I'm talking to you. You are not eligible for certain blessings until you follow God's most basic instructions. Until you become a husband, it is okay if you failed, if you adhered. Women are the ones out here leaving. It don't mean a man failed. It does not mean that. They are ruled by their emotions. Doesn't mean you have to give up, though. And for my married men out there, the statistics say you don't give up. You don't even leave. Because you stay glued to the word, to the most basic instructions. When your children ask, and they will ask, you tell them you stayed. when they're old enough to listen to it. She quit. I never quit on you. I never will. She quit. That's what she did. You don't quit. For you, it's black and white. Let her make it gray. Your instructions are clear. Women, let me talk to y'all for a second. Whew. Yeah, D. Will, I am about to pass out. I'm hot. I'm hot right now. Women, you will not be validated as a woman until you are married. I am not talking shit to you, I promise. This is completely regardless. Take men out of the equation. It is not men that actually validate you. The way women view you in society, you will not get the correct validation until you are married. Let's be real. There is no greater validation for a woman than to walk your ass down that aisle and have everybody stand for you in your most beautiful moment. You dream about this shit as little girls. Boys don't sit around the sandbox talking about, I can wait to be a husband when I grow up. We don't do that shit. Y'all do it. The greatest moment in your life is to have that, what is it, the organ? Everybody stand up for you. The greatest validation in your life is marriage to a mature, upstanding man. Go ahead and cap and say it isn't. Go ahead and cap. Your job ain't gonna celebrate you. That job is gonna replace you. Your marriage is your greatest validation on earth to you. It is everything to you. Go ahead and lie and say it isn't. That's why you hate it. That's why you shame it, because you feel like you can't achieve it. Because the decisions you made may have put it out of reach. That's why you act like you don't like it. We see right through you. Do you want proof? I don't give a damn if you're a Fortune 500 CEO, ladies. The women in your life will put an asterisk by your accomplishments because you didn't do it while you were married. They will always have something over you. Anything you do in your life, the married woman owns everything in this country, everything in this world. She owns all the wealth. She has the love, admiration, respect from her children. They ain't wondering why somebody didn't think enough of them to stay with their father. The married woman owns everything. That is your greatest validation in life. Your fucking job. Give me a break. You ain't even gonna like that job in 5 years. You don't even like your coworkers now. But you think that is validation? Give me a break. Woosah. Listen, y'all. Marriage has unmistakable value to the community, to the order of family, and most of all, to your children. Married people are more responsible. Hell, we take less risks. My wife can set her watch by where the hell I'm going to be because we got a life. We got a schedule. It ain't happy hour around here. It's rush hour around here. We got responsibilities. Sponsorbilities? Yeah, that's a kid's show for those of y'all who got kids. Sponsorbilities? We got kids to go pick up over here. Meetings and appointments to go over there, Kumon math on this day, gymnastics on that day, T-ball signups over here. We got a real life to start living, a legacy to start building. Married people are more responsible. That's the way the world looks at you. But you know, I can prove everything I'm saying. I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. I can substantiate this. I can. I promise you. Marriage has the greatest value to your children. And we know that. Ladies and gentlemen, marriage looks good on you. Shit. You see me out here? Marriage looks good on me. All right? Shit. It looks good on you. Ladies, do you ever wonder why some women act like a man is more attractive with this on his finger? Because he got responsibilities. He handles his business. Come on, man. Y'all don't hear me though. Never in my life did I have a dream of me being an executive or anything without me noticing that the men who reach and achieve that high make themselves accountable to something. 80% plus of Fortune 500 CEOs and C-suite executives are married. These men handle business. What are the habits of highly effective people? I want you to look that up. Franklin Covey, the habits of highly effective people. I'm going to give y'all some education today, like I used to teach it to my students. What are the habits of highly effective people? Well organized, dynamic thinking. Oh, where do these people do this? Timely, have time management skills, proactivity versus reactivity. Married people have these habits. If you do it successfully, if you learn, you stay dedicated, this comes second nature. Highly effective people are married. You want people to draw certain conclusions about you as a man? Get married. Dedicate your life to learning to stay married and watch all the blessings that open up for you in your life. 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs are married. Shouldn't that tell you something? Listen, the world does draw conclusions about you if you're married versus whether you are not. And we need to stop lying to ourselves as if it doesn't. JR, go ahead, drop that link. Please. I want to show y'all something real quick. JayZ is married. He is a businessman. Rick Ross is not. He is a businessman. By the time it is all said and done, JayZ will amass more wealth than Rick Ross. If the two of those men go after 20 business deals in their lifetime, in which both of them were the top contenders, JayZ is getting 15 of those deals simply because of the way he lives his life and the decisions he made and the fact that his children came from one woman. This is the way the world looks at you. The world looks at you this way through the decisions you made. Go ahead and tell me Rick Ross is going to get more deals than JayZ based off of that strength alone. You don't have to believe it. The world is your example. Everything goes to the married man first. Everything goes to the married man. We just make better decisions. We look like the safer. if you want to be honest. It don't even matter if it didn't work for you. It doesn't even matter if you're now divorced or you didn't work for. Everyone knows you stayed faithful to something, or at least tried. Some of the best men I know are divorced men. They stuck it in there. They stuck it out. She left. All right. So we're going to talk on why y'all hate on marriage so much. I'm going to bring my boys up in a second, man. Let me just say this last piece to sum it all up. Y'all hate marriage. Y'all hate on marriage because you're afraid of it. You're afraid you're going to fail. But you can't win the game if you don't play. I'm always going for the gusto. I want to win the game. Play the game. Play to win. Period. Those are your instructions. Whew. Good morning to you.
Hey there.
Hey, great day, family. What's going on, y'all? What's good, Trigger?
What's going on? What's going on? Israel, Real Bravado Network. First time on here. How you doing, sir?
Hey there, Trigger Mike. How you doing? Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
I mean, what a hell of a topic, dude.
Hey, please tell me what you think about it, what you got on the topic, bro.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure if I completely agree that people are just, like hating on marriage. I think more than likely it's because, we're no longer seeing marriage in successful. We have incentivized our ladies not to get married. We, our guys have abdicated the responsibility of taking control and ownership of their relationships. I was married, and I failed at my marriage. I tell people that all the time, especially those that know what happened in my marriage and the fact that my woman walked out on me. I still consider myself the person who failed because I could not figure out two things: either one, how to lead her in a way to keep her there, or two, cut her loose before that it got to that point. So both of those scenarios marked my failure. So I don't even blame her for the bad behavior, the disrespect, you know what I mean? The constantly challenging my authority, all of that. I didn't figure it out because I had no understanding of what I was supposed to be as a man. And if you are Generation X or Generation Y, a lot of us now rolling into our 40s or mid 40s, we're just now starting to come to understand that we have we are very deficient in the manhood category. We're just now coming to this at this stage of life. And our ladies are looking at marriage because they've never been in a situation where they've been under the guidance of a thoroughbred man. So they just are out here reckless with who they engage with, who they have children with. They're reckless in their thought process because they've never had to be guided by a thoroughbred man, because the last 50 years there's been no men in the home, And I just real quick, I reject the notion when our women talk about, well, they had to be the head because they didn't have a choice. You absolutely had a choice. When the system came to the white farmer families and stuff like that, especially after World War I, World War II, and telling them the same thing that they were telling us about, oh, we'll give you this handout, but your man can't be there. They said, over my dead body, I'm gonna throw my man out. And by the way, we'll vote you out for even suggesting that. We didn't do that. They were willing to die alongside of their men if that meant that man couldn't be in that house. Well, we'll figure it out. We never made that transition. And too many of our men didn't tell their women at that time, I'll be damned if we split up this family. So we as a group just we collapse under real pressure, Trigger Mike. We absolutely collapse under pressure. And I give more edge of responsibility to the men, because you're supposed to be the ones we are supposed to be the ones that's supposed to hold this together. So that's kind of where I feel about this. And for those who absolutely, sit there and say marriage is trash, either they don't have the option, too many rejections, or they haven't made themselves fit for the marriage. because there's nothing trash about marriage. It's every other culture, values marriage. They have larger success because of the marriage union. They're not walking around. White people, they're the next largest. White women are the next largest group of single mothers, and they're only at a 30% rate of single motherhood. That means 60% or 70% of their women are married in the homes with their husbands, even when the stuff goes bad. They're there.
Can I get in here too?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the perspective. I agree with portions of both what you said, Trigger Mike, and what the brother said. I would like to offer this, and maybe it sounded like maybe you addressed it, but I was in the transition of trying to get on the panel and I didn't quite hear it. Well, let me say this. First of all, absolutely, as a man, you have to take responsibility for whatever you're going through. You have to take responsibility for whatever's happening in your life. I agree with that point completely. So regardless to how the relationship ends up or how your life ends up, in order for it to change or in order for it to get better, you have to take the responsibility for it, right? What I will say is this, and this is the question that I had, Trigger Mike, and it sounded like I said at the end that you might have addressed this, but in the cases where it is the woman, right, who doesn't get in line, as the brother was saying, and who is the one who is not following and is the one who is offering this and offering that as far as pushback. And let's reverse Ali's. We all pretty much familiar with Ali's situation where he says that the woman changed up, but it was more of a change up thing to try to basically trap him off, right? Or get him trapped. Let's reverse that and let's say that the woman made all of these promises, and then once the child came, that's really all she wanted was the child. And then she didn't get married, or y'all, she didn't want to be married, or whatever the case may be. Like it's like we talk a lot of times like, we just automatically we can make a woman get married. And a lot of times in modern society, there are a lot of women that look at the chat. They're not even thinking about marriage. You know what I'm saying? They don't want it. They're not thinking about it.
Yeah. So there's actually a simple answer to this, man. And I think I did address it. Or maybe I tried to address it. Marriage is not from your heart, bro. For men, it's about duty.
Duty and
It's
responsibility.
the woman you get with is supposed to be the most cerebral decision you ever make. The woman you marry. Too many of us as men, especially as younger men, are very romantic like the women are. Most of it is because you came from a single mother-led home. Most of it is because we're just from a Disney generation that told us, well, that's the way men are supposed to feel. Explore your feelings about it.
Well, Trigger Mike, let me bring it in a little bit because it's kind of going way off the point that I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's just say that you were engaged, right? And you were thinking that this is the woman that you're going to marry, right? And you all committed to get married. She has a ring on her finger. You're engaged, and of course, y'all are adults, so you're doing adult things. And then she gets pregnant, whatever the case may be, right? And then after the baby comes, she no longer wants to be married. So it's not like a situation where you can force. Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's not like a situation, number one, where you could force a woman. And it's a lot of times it seems like we talk in terms of, oh yeah, well, if you have a woman, yeah, you got to marry. You have a kid, let's just get married. Like, it's not. I mean, life is more nuanced than that. It's not that simplistic, if that makes sense.
So you're right. And let me just say this. So there's two things here. You could be right, or the situation could be that the woman just switched up, but that's not likely, is it? It's not really likely. She had warning signs, and he was too romantic. And what I was gonna say, what I was leading up to, is we're at a war for families. In war, there are going to be casualties. There are going to be men that experience these situations. The issue is that there are a lot of women that are literally excluding themselves from being picked. They should be completely out of the running. especially as men who like to put their hero cape on. We can't save everybody. If we are so worried about a woman doing that to us, you should only marry a girl from a good home then.
And then here's the other thing, Trigger Mike. Our women operate like that with us. They operate in fear, or they operate based on what some other woman has told them or what they've seen in their small little circle. We as men can't operate in fear. There's no such thing as not having risk in every part. Trigger Mike, you're married, got a beautiful family. There's still risk there, but all the thing you can do as a man is mitigate your risk. The risk is not going to go away, and the same thing goes for our women. The risk are there, and if you don't want to operate and understand, or you uncomfortable with risk, then you got to come completely out of the game. And then with your women, and one of the things I'm learning is, as men, we got to stop listening to what the women say, because they can make things sound good. Women know how to talk to us. Watch what they do. Oftentimes, you'll see a lot of times women say certain things to us in a way that is pleasing to our ear, but will operate and do things completely opposite of what they tell us. Look at your woman choose your woman with your eyes closed.
Well, can I say this? Can I ask you this though? This is two things. So first, I want to say that I think that we have to acknowledge and we have to understand that a lot of times, in my experience, the women who have their fathers in the homes and the fathers are good fathers, they raise their daughters to be independent. They raise their daughters to not need a man, or to not have to rely or depend on a man, or to submit to a man. We have to acknowledge that, especially as the brother was saying, if they're in Gen X and Gen Y. So you have to understand that just because they was raised in a good home, like I said, I think I've stated this earlier before. In my experience, one of them is my son's mother, but her parents been married for almost 50 years. You know what I'm saying? But she definitely has apprehension, and she has had apprehension since the day I met her, since forever, about being married. She never really wanted to be married. So all I'm saying to you is, I know women, and then I know another woman who absolutely wants to be married, and her mother and father has been together for 60 years. At the same time, she's not really marriage material, and she doesn't understand that. So it's a lot of women, right, that are raised in a two-parent household, that are Black women, and that are raised in a good household, and the father has been there, has been working hard, whatever the case may be, but he raises his daughter not to depend, rely, or submit to a man other than himself. Now, that's one point. But the second thing I wanted to ask the brother was this: have you ever come across a woman who was one way before she had a child, and then after she had a child, really turned out to be a different way?
Absolutely. But guess what? As a man, you got to deal with that. You got to make the adjustment. I mean, I know that sounds pretty like cold-blooded about it, but that's kind of
that's the fact. That's a fact.
This is kind of how it is. My daughter's mother turned out to be a complete and utter demon.
Was she like that before she had your child, or was it after the child?
That's not what she presented to me. But
I'm talking about her actions as well, not just
her actions did not present that to me.
See, and that's the point. I'm not trying to cut you off, but that's where I want to direct it into. So it's not always the actions.
8 years later, let me tell you something. Throughout that process, I hyper-focused on what was in the best interest of my daughter. The best interest of my daughter was to find a way to stay glued in her life, which meant, because I made that decision to get that woman pregnant or to live with that woman, that meant that in order to make sure that my daughter had a present father, there was going to be some garbage that I had to swallow. And I swallowed a lot of garbage. But I have a decent enough relationship with the mother now. She still flips out on me. Here's the other thing that we have to come to terms with, is just Black folk. Our men and our women, we are as messed up can get. For the men, develop yourself to be the best man you can be. You're going to have to pick the least messed up woman, and you're gonna have to teach, mold, and groom. And on my little streaming show, which is very small, I always talk about we're gonna have to create a new deal with one another. This is unsustainable. People say the Black community is dying. Let me tell you guys something. It's on life support. It ain't. We're damn near brain dead. We're gonna have to re-engineer what it looks like. Black men, I hear a lot of advocacy about Black men not, don't get involved with a single mother. If you a Black man and you want a Black woman, you're gonna have to deal with a woman with a child. The overwhelming majority of our women have a child. And that's just
well, brother, I feel like that's kind of you,
right.
you can't.
Before we get off topic, hold on.
Yeah,
I wanted to say something before we get off topic on that. All right, so there's something, I think I missed it in my monologue actually. Fellas, your view on marriage needs to be very clear. In fact, I didn't miss it. I spoke about black and white. Men need to be very black and white about things. Let the women be gray. That's what they do.
Yep.
They make the gray area. They live in the gray area. We got to live in what's black and white. And what's black and white for dudes is you're screwed either way.
Yep.
You are screwed either way. So we keep searching for answers. We're always going to end up having to make educated guesses and calculated risks because that's what men do. We are screwed either way. We are gambling. You better learn how to count cards because you're gambling either way. You are the one in the end society is going to hold ultimately accountable. There is no way around it. Now, here's what I want to tell fellas that's in the situation you talked about, Israel, because we do need solutions. These questions do need answers, right? When you commit a felony, what happens? You go to jail.
100%.
Or probation, right?
Yeah. You get some kind of slap on the wrist.
Right.
From your authority, your local authority, state authority, federal authority. If you promise yourself to a woman, either purposefully or accidentally, it's like you're committing a felony, especially if you have children with her.
Mm-hmm.
You are in jail for 18 years, period. Every man that lets her slip that thing off, because I don't like acting like all unprotected sex occurrences are the man's fault. Women be like, do you not understand what sex is? It is an intimate exchange in which women want to be more intimate with you. They don't just want to have sex with you. They want your semen. Let's talk like animals, like the animals we are. They want your semen. If you give it to her, it is a felony, and you're serving 18 years. That is the way you need to think about it. There's no way around it. But she was different 18 years. That's all we need to say now. In the manosphere space, when a dude is just clouding you with too many complaints, the litigation has spoken. You serving 18. Don't have another one somewhere else, or you're gonna be serving another consecutive 18. That's really all I got. We're screwed either way.
Yes, we are. And this is what I tell the men. When you realize what you lack as a man and you put the pieces in place to put that in you, you got to choose the best you can. There's not going to be any, like when I was first married, I am now earning. Now, granted, she walked before I started earning. When I'm earning 4 times my salary than I did when I was married. So if I get married now, you know what I mean? It's a major risk. For me, it's a major risk. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to be married. I think it's sad when we sit around talking about how we don't want to be married, how we shouldn't be married. That's not how we're built. And men, here's a newsflash, men, we die younger when we're not married. It doesn't matter how good of a shape you in or anything like that. Alone men die way sooner than married men. Married men are more healthy than single men.
I agree in a lot of things that you're saying, especially in the beginning. But then you kind of lose me. I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. You kind of lose me in these absolutes, right? Now I know that that Trigger Mike said it's either black or white, right? And that's cool and everything. But these absolutes, like we can't. This is the thing, right? If you want to get married, then get married, right? If you don't want to get married, then don't get married. I think it's very dangerous to preach to other people what they should do with their lives, because we don't know what their circumstances or what their situations are, and to tell people what they absolutely should do. Now, this is the thing. I do agree with Trigger Mike that if you do have a child with someone, then it is best to try your best to bring that situation together and to try to get married, if that's the case. At the same time, that's not always feasible. That's not always conducive. So the best practice is to not have children with people if you're not married to them. I agree with that 100% wholeheartedly. But I think, like, and that's what I was saying, the slippery slope is when we say, oh, well, yeah, men, like Trigger Mike was saying, men are not necessarily designed to get married, quote unquote. We're not. That's not necessarily our design or our makeup. So all men do not have that desire. All men are not made to be married. All men are not capable of sustaining a marriage relationship. So I just think that we shouldn't speak in absolutes. You spoke in a lot of truth, brother, in what you were saying, and I respect a lot of what you were saying. But I just don't.
I'll move the camera. Go ahead.
I just don't think that we should speak in those absolutes.
I have one statement, then I got to roll off to some other business. But listen, I hear what you're saying. But here's the ultimate. This is what I tell the ladies when I talk to the ladies. How's that working out for us as a community? Having that mindset of, well, we can't be absolute. Yes, we can. Prior to 1965, Black folk was the highest married group in the country at a rate of 80%. Look at where we are now as a collective. We're at the bottom of every category. We're at the bottom. We individually contribute more money to this economy than any other group of people, but we only make up about 14% of the population. Only 30% of us collectively are married. We got 80% of our kids are now born to a single parent home.
But you see how you skipped that? You was about to say we're at the bottom financially, but you realize that that's absolutely not true. We're not at the bottom financially in American society.
Financially, we're at the bottom when we talk about something to pass on, legacy, generational, family stuff. We are at the bottom when we talk about individually. No, we contribute. This whole economy, believe it or not, is built off of Black folk being separate and single. We got two sets of the lady I'm dating right now. We got 2 homes, 2 cars, 2 insurances, 2 grocery bills, 2 light bills, 2 everything.
I mean, that's a good point.
Her mortgage is $1,400 a month. Mine is about $2,000. You know what? If we got married, you know what I can do with that $1,400 a month?
But that's part of it. You don't have access. You may not necessarily have access to her $1,400 a month.
If she gonna marry me, I'm gonna have access to that $1,400
because it's not necessarily, bro. Ain't no necessarily about
that. Hers. When you get married, that income don't belong to you no more. It belongs to the institution of the marriage. That money ain't hers no more. And if she don't understand that, she can go on to the brother that want to do 50-50.
But you know what the problem is? Well, this is what the issue is. They'll agree to it a lot of them agree to it on the front end, but then when it comes to the execution of it after you get married, then it becomes an issue.
Yeah, we know women are terrible, but that's not the name of the show.
Well, I'm not saying women are terrible.
No, you're making a case for terrible.
I want to thank you, but I got to keep rolling. This was a great conversation. I'm a super chat in a little bit, but hey, fellas, thank you. I can't wait to hear what the other fellas got to say.
Anytime, you're welcome, sir. Please come up whenever you're available. Thank you. Let's get JC in here. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's up, Trigger? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, for sure.
What you got on the topic in general, man?
In general, I just wanted to chime in to say that I believe the reason why people are afraid of being married or the marriage institution in itself is because they don't know what they're enlisting in for. They don't know when a person enlists in something, let's say the military, or let's say even a corporation or something like that, they read the mission statement. They read the objective of that corporation. They know who the founders of that institution is, and so forth. So when you enlist in something, you're already prepared beforehand with all that type of information, and you don't set your own objective. You follow the objective of what that corporation or what that institution was already built for. So a lot of people are enlisting in marriage without understanding where the institution came from, what is the objective, what is the mission statement, or anything of that sort. What tends to happen is that people in general have bought into a consumer mindset that marriage is an institution about me. Make me happy. Make me do this, do this. And if I don't feel happy, then I am out and I'm on to the next one. And that's what the dating culture has also provided for before marriage. The whole dating culture was preparing people for divorce, because in your dating process, if you're not happy in in your mate at that time, you want to go to the next one. Well, this is not making me happy. Let me go to the next one. Let me go to the next one. When you get that one person that gives you those butterflies in your stomach and so forth, oh, I'm gonna get married to her. Oh snap, those butterfly feelings or whatever, that romanticism, stuff that tends to happen to a lot of people. Once it leaves, oh well, I'm not happy again. Let me move on to the next. When me personally, I don't put my ideology on people. I don't force it on people. But me, as for a marriage institution, I believe that this institution was made by God. So I follow his biblical principles on what marriage institution is about, what is his mission statement, what is his objective. And if I submit to his kingship and his lordship and I follow his rules, is holiness over happiness. So I understand my role as a man. My duty as a man is to submit to my king and not to make my own objective in this institution of marriage. Now, is it hard? Heck yeah, it's hard. At times, you have your ups and downs, but the reward is greater than what anything else in this world can actually have to offer. And that goes
Yep.
same thing for the woman. If the woman understands that objective, that she submits to our king, to our lord, to our god, she understands that she has a duty in that mission statement, in that objective, and if she follows him, then I have nothing to worry about, because automatically it's going to trickle down and she's going to respect me and follow my lead. So that, I mean, it's simple. God's word makes things so simple and clear, but when we deviate from his goal, from his mission statement, to wanting to make up our own rules and our own regulations and our own thought process and our own quote unquote feelings, because even the Bible says that the heart is deceitfully wicked. Who can even know it? We can't even know how desperately wicked our own hearts are at times as well, because we have thoughts, we have, our emotions always go up and down and so forth. But when we submit to his word, humbly submit to his word, willingly submit to his word, I think we will see a better society as a whole. That's
Naturally. Naturally. Uh Boy, that was so many facts. Beans, you sure you want to go after that? You sure you want to follow that up? Huh? What you got on my man? Welcome.
What's
Good
going
afternoon.
on, bro? Yeah, because I'm gonna be the bad guy going behind him, because I definitely don't believe that marriage is a religious institution. Um, I have learned a lot about the idea of marriage being in this space, and it does seem to work best when people are dutiful, when they view it as a business. That's sad because, like you said, I came up in the Disney fairy tale, right? That it's supposed to be all about being a hero, being a romantic guy, sucking toes and all that type of stuff. And that don't get you nowhere. That's about 6 months to a year and a half if you're dark skinned. And then after that, it's back to life, back to reality. You know what I'm saying? It's, do you pay my bills? Do you pay my automobiles? Can you pay my nail, my hair bills? I don't think you do.
You're supposed to if you're the husband, though.
But see, that's what I'm saying, though, right? I don't believe that. I don't believe, right? And I'm not subscribing to nothing that says that, because look, there's something called, I know I didn't finish that statement, but I'm gonna get back to it. It's something that's called gender discrimination. For whatever reason, we're not supposed to do this to women, but it's okay to do it to men, right? All these rules and all these different gender codes, gender roles apply to you because of what's in between your legs, right? So as a man, it's okay for me to work, and work myself to death to make sure that everybody else is straight. Screw my life, right? Screw what I want to do. Screw my need to kick it, my need to have peace, my need to enjoy whatever time I have on this earth. No, make sure that some woman, you ain't a real man if you ain't making sure some woman don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? You ain't a real man if you ain't putting Jordans and Gucci and purses on some woman and some kids. It's like, no, man, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. And none of us know the time of day when our life is going to be over with. My brother was 32, I think, when I buried him 2 years ago, right? I just buried my best friend in December. He was 41. His birthday is in a couple of days. He was busting his behind. He had just hit 6 figures working for the train platform. And now he gone. Like, no. Men want to live too. Straight up, men want to live too. They want to enjoy their lives. They want to travel. They want to move around. They want to see the country, see the world.
Little podcast. I have one question for you. Podcast. I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do all of those things go out the window when you have kids? Everything you want. Do you get to want it the same way if you have kids?
So I'm going to speak in generalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I want y'all to pay attention to the platform. Y'all see, to the people that's watching. All the men on this platform, even though some of them not going to admit it, none of them are in general. None of them are making general money. None of them are making average money. So they're going to respond to that from their perspective on the fact that they making all this money. How much does the average dude make? And does he get to have the same lifestyle?
A podcast. When I was broke, listen, my children, I have a 22-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 20-year-old, right? And I've been broke some of those years for long periods of time. And I did the same sacrifice. I did the same treatment. I did what I was supposed to do. It doesn't matter how much money that you have. It matters.
What does that mean? The same sacrifice.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter how much money you have. It means that I did what I had to do to take care of my children. Sometimes, wait, hold on.
That's not what he was asking. Trigger.
I'm trying to answer the question though. What I'm saying,
that ain't what he was asking.
No, wait, hold on. You said, hold on. Podcast. You just said the people on this panel. The reason why we're saying what we're saying is because we have a certain level of money right now. And what I'm saying is I didn't always have the level of money, but I always had kids.
Okay, wait.
And even when I didn't have the level of money, let me finish. Even when I didn't have the
Israel, we have to stop. You can't build on the fallacy. Trigger. When you said does that stop because you have kids, what were you talking about?
I'm saying and what was I saying? Your fun. Does your fun stop? Does your fun stop?
Does your fun stop?
And you have to make that sacrifice first,
right? To your level of responsibility to your children, and that's the point that's what I'm making. That's what I'm saying. It's still the same. What I'm telling you is that when I didn't have a lot of money, I sacrificed I sacrificed this and I sacrificed that to make sure my children were good, because that's my responsibility and obligation as their father, to make sure that they have a better life than I had. That's my obligation as their father.
Right. And what I'm saying is that some men are saying, man, bust that. We want to live. We don't want to have to sacrifice all the time. We don't want to have to sacrifice.
Little podcast. Do you know the statistics that men that are happily married live more successful and fulfilling lives and are healthier than single men?
So,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Telling me right now is somebody was
I can send you the information about.
Hold on.
The reason I asked really quickly, Trigger. to the sister because she asked me a question. So I want to say this. I've heard that statistic. I don't believe it. I don't believe someone can quantify whether or not married men are happier. I don't think they can do that. Now, whether they live longer, that's what's up.
A podcast, like JayZ was saying, happiness is elusive.
Black men who live in the North, in states like the Montanas and the North Dakotas, they live longer. Why? They live to be 84.
We're speaking specifically. We're speaking
That's
specifically about married men versus single men, and I can get into the statistics and I can send it to the Lapeef Network because my background is in. I have a master's in public health, so we looked into the different studies that look at populations to see what are the health trends amongst different groups. But I'll let y'all continue because there's a point that I want to make because I have a howling 4-year-old. So give me 1 second.
No worries.
I just want to make sure she did say happy though.
We're
like,
gonna come back.
Can't quantify that.
But hey, Trigger Mike,
yeah.
Go.
All right, Moses DTX, welcome, bro.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. So earlier, a little podcast was in a minute, man. I haven't seen you, so yeah, bro. So earlier, the guy that spoke with, he said he didn't know he had a woman that was really not the person he had, and I kind of could relate to that guy because I went to that similar situation, except it was 7 months. So I think the marriage institution is a beautiful thing from God's word. Shout out to JayZ. I think that was a good way you put it. With God's word is the main foundation. We have to follow through before choosing, because let's be honest, there's a lot of counterfeits out here, and I think people got to be really careful because we all have to choose wise. Like you said, we got to gamble in a sense. And I'm to the point where I'm just like thinking, I'll be honest, if I have to get my passport, so be it, you know, and I'm a Christian man saying this. People think like, why would you leave America? Well, let's be real. There's a lot of stuff out here being pushed on the church. Even feminism is in the church. Yeah. Kevin Samuels did a video about that, which I would really recommend people to check out, because even he said it's so pushed that there's single ladies in the church more than men because they're leaving. So it makes sense. The money is there for that single women to make money off of them, to make them seem more liable for that position, to get them, because you know why? The men not there means more money for the government, more money for the pastor, more money for those who can control the women. That's why it's going towards that. And I like that Trigger Mike did this topic because I was on the other day, so I wanted to call on this, but I couldn't because I'm at work. But that's it, though.
A quick question. Little podcast, you mentioned that marriage is now a business. I would like to understand what your definition of marriage is and what your definition of a business, because those are two separate things. I currently am working on my business. I am currently married, and I can tell you that the purposes of two are different. So I would like to understand what your definition of a business is, and then also what is your definition of a marriage?
Well, to me, the only thing that constitutes marriage is sex, right? I can base that on the Bible, Adam and Eve. And people can say, well, further down in the Bible, they had this or that going on, but those things weren't overseen by God or ordained by God, but Adam and Eve was.
Quick question.
Right?
So you're saying that a marriage is sex. I just want to be clear and understand.
I'm saying I could argue, I could say that, right? I could say that to me, the defining of marriage is we choose to have sex. But of course, it's like we have sex and then we never see each other again. No, I don't think that's a marriage. But I'm saying I've been with my lady for 12 years, 13 years now. We haven't signed any documents for the government to acknowledge us as man and wife. And if anybody tries to say that she's not my wife or that we're not married, they're insane.
Okay, so
13 years.
But you still haven't answered the question. What is your definition of marriage?
We have sex and we chose to stay together, married.
So your definition of marriage is having sex with someone you're in a relationship with.
Yes.
Okay, and so what is your definition of a business?
I don't know. That's way more critical. But the way that I can compare the two, right, is because in both situations, what you're trying to do is you're not in it for feelings, right? The whole thing about the marriage is, and I'm not speaking about my definition of marriage. I'm speaking on the general public's understanding of what a marriage is. You're not supposed to be in it for feelings. It's supposed to be about duty and legacy and building.
But that's not. But what you said is a generalization is not the generalized notion of what marriage is. That's why I'm asking specifically to you, excuse me, of sorry, because I think we're switching things. My first question is what is a marriage, and then my second is what is the business, and then you
Right.
started going into how marriage is has been the general thought of
So do me a
marriage and
favor.
business. So
Can I
I'm
ask you a
trying to
favor?
understand. Yeah.
Right. Can I ask you a favor? As
Hmm.
I'm talking, try to listen to hear and not respond. And I
No, I'm
promise
not.
you,
I'm not listening to
I'm not
respond.
being facetious. I'm asking seriously because people misunderstand me a lot because I say things and then they respond to how they feel about it. Listen to
No,
what
no,
I'm
no.
saying.
I'm asking.
Based on the general definition of what marriage is, right? What I'm saying is the way that the way that that is compared to business. That's what I said. Based on what the general definition is of marriage, right? The way that that is compared to business is that it's not about feelings. It's about building. It's about legacy. It's about duty, right? It was the same thing you're doing with a business. You get a business, you ain't in it for the feelings. You're trying to build something. You're trying to have a legacy. You're trying to move that thing forward, build it up to something else, hand it down generations, right? It's the same thing you're doing with a marriage. You get with a woman and you all are building, right? And then you have children, and then you take what you build and you hand it down to your children, so forth and so on. And then you have Walmart, right? So that's what I'm saying. The way that people look at marriage back in the day, from what I was told, the fathers used to be the ones who chose who the girl was going to marry, and that used to be a business deal. Oh, I'll give you my daughter, and you give me 17 cows, or this much of land and acres and all that. So that's what I'm saying. The whole argument that's being made on these platforms nowadays is that we, as the general public, have gotten away from the true purpose and value of marriage. That it ain't supposed to be about feelings, right? It's supposed to be about business and duty and legacy.
Well,
And I
not
would
so.
accept that.
I would argue that business is an organization to make money.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of legacy, there's legacy in different ways. Legacy in, your lineage being continued, legacy in community, but that
Mhm.
necessarily is not tied to business. And a lot of times when
I
I
get
hear that
that.
marriage is compared to business,
Yeah.
I'm in the, God, give me a second.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh
take
my
your time. We
gosh.
got questions, so
Yeah.
we got our first question coming up. So this is how I want this next question to be answered. All right, if you are married, I want you to answer as a married person. I'm sorry, if you are married or have been married, I want you to answer as a married person or even a single person. And if you're single, I want you to answer as a single person.
I'm scared.
So the question is, what are the benefits? So if you're married, answer on the married side. If you're not married, answer on the not married side. So what are the benefits of being married or not married? Israel, you go first.
That's been good.
So, so to me, I mean, Trigger Mike, I'll go last. Let somebody else go. Because I mean, let me tell you the reason why I say that. Let me tell you, I have been married, right? Let me tell you this. I have been married, right? And I do believe in marriage, but I'm in a stage in my life where I don't know if that's what I want anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I believe in marriage. I don't think marriage is inherently bad or evil or stupid or anything. I don't have no problem with people who want to get married, but just the more that I look at it and the more that I think about it, it seems as if for a man, it's not ideal, especially a man in my position.
Mhm.
You gave the answer. Talk about go to me last, but we're gonna come back around. We're gonna come back around. All right, JC, you next. What are the benefits of being married?
Benefit. Hold on, can you guys hear me? Just so I want to make sure.
Yeah.
I want to say one of the benefits is that one, you double your income right off the gate. Two, I don't have to worry about all these diseases running rampant out in the streets and all that stuff. I can just enjoy my wife and enjoy everything that God has given to her and all for me and nobody else. So I don't even need to worry about that aspect as well. Three, I can see little mini me's running around my circle that are made in my image, and and God willing, me being old and being in my deathbed, I can see a legacy that I have created with my spouse, and know that they are on the same mission as me, right? If I train them in the correct way, in the way that we follow the principles of the scriptures and so forth. So those are things that I would say that are beneficial for me, and at the same time it just creates a better overall society. um what's not beneficial, or what I would say is a drawback on marriage, is the fact that there are things that you want to do that you're not going to end up doing. So I mean, it does take away some of your, what you want to say, quote unquote, freedom that you had when you were single. And you have to
Thank
be
you.
selfless. You have to actually recalibrate some of the things that you want to do in order to make sacrifices for a greater good, for lack of
Yep.
a better term. So I would say that's the drawback. I mean, and those are things that even the scriptures talk about. The Apostle Paul says, that some people are built for marriage, some people are not built for marriage, and some people should even remain single
Come
because
on
it
now.
takes them away from doing what they're actually supposed to be doing. So it does talk about both ends. So yeah, that's pretty much my opinion.
Man, JC, come on, man. You
What's
know
good?
I gotta go after you. You gotta stop this, bro.
What you mean, bro? What you
No,
mean?
I'm saying, bro, you just laid the whole foundation down. I can't say nothing except boobies, right?
Man,
Because you said everything, you took
Bro,
everything, bro. But
hey
no, like
man.
for real, like building, bro. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I could go on about the benefits, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna just simplify it by saying this: whether it's going out to eat, whether it's laying down to go to sleep or waking up, whether it's talking about the future, whether it's sex, whatever it is, bro. I am so still to this day amazed and pleased by the fact that every time I look over, it's the same girl. 13 years later, and it's the same chick. Bro, nobody can make me feel like that's not an accomplishment. As much as I've been through the ups and downs that I've been through, you know what I'm saying? And I guarantee you, whatever your girl do in the bed, mine do too. And it don't matter how much money I got or don't get, she's still there. She's still performing. She still believes in me. She still takes my counsel. She still follows my leadership. And every time she does, it has worked out to her benefit. And the fact that she's willing to acknowledge that now on a grander scale is amazing. So to me, that's one
Can
of
the
the
other person mute? Can somebody mute so we can hear him?
yeah, that's to me, that's one of the greatest benefits to marriage, man, is that it's a sense of accomplishment, bro. To just look over and see, and it's the same person, and you know it matters, and it's this person ain't just with you because you could do something for them. You know what I'm saying? Or nothing like that. They just with you because they want you. That is, bro, it's
okay.
almost nothing in the world that's that amazing.
Hey, I'm impressed. I thought little podcast was gonna be on Demon Time, but he okay. All
Hey,
right. Well, so let me get these super chats and then Africa Pop. We're gonna come to you real quick. All right.
Sugar Man, can I say one more thing? One more thing
Yeah,
as well.
man.
I work in the healthcare industry. I do investigations and so forth. And there's one thing that keeps popping up in my radar when I do speak to some of these elderly folks and so forth. And the people that tend to be the worst, I guess not the worst, but the saddest in life are the people that have nobody by their side. When they're when they're old, when they're already in their late 70s, 80s, and so forth, and they're already and father time is pretty much right around the corner. You can sense it, you can hear the in their voice. Sometimes they're very vocal about it as well. They say, I have nobody. I don't have a husband. My husband passed away or so forth, or I don't have a family, I don't have kids, I don't have this. You can sense the loneliness that is in them, and it's usually the people that are without a spouse or without a family or without kids that tend to be in that predicament. So that's just my observation as somebody that works in the healthcare field, somebody that speaks to these people on a personal level on a day-to-day basis. That's just been my observation. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, sir. And that's 100% facts. So I used to work as an administrator or mid-level management in a psych hospital. Not having people to show up for your group family therapy session You almost have an immediate code when that person goes back to the unit. It is embarrassing to them. They feel empty. They're watching other people's family visit. I mean, you speaking facts right there. All right, Ra Takhar, $2. Respect to you, Trigger Mike. I appreciate the support, bro. JC, $20. Appreciate that. Marriage entered as a divine institution is life giving towards a society. There's a sense of reverence and respect and a sense of what? Of want when people see a fruitful marriage the way God instituted it. Holiness over happiness. I mean, you came and gave us not only the thesis, you gave us the mission statement and then the whole company after that, my man. All right, Gerald Jacquez, $5 or Jacques. I don't know if he's French or whatever. Appreciate that. We can absolutely open up marriage options to include women with cultures that are not typically Black American culture. I'm going to say for those that are like Black nationalists and stuff, you're not going to like it, but some men who are trying to take it seriously may struggle if they don't open themselves up because we too have a ticking time clock. And if you keep knocking women down, you're just going to lose more respect for them as you don't get the cooperation you want. All right. King Spark, $57.99, $10. Appreciate that. All men should strive for the responsibility and mindset the marriage brings. It should be a goal. That is correct. Real Bravado Network, thank you for your time today, sir. Appreciate the $50 super chat. Keep doing the work, Trigger Mike. I intend to. These topics are going to be contentious, but these questions I got coming up, they might be a tear jerk. I just need y'all to put on some glasses or something. Y'all gonna see. All right, AP, my man, $5.
AP.
What does marriage stop you from doing? To both JC and podcast. This was a little earlier, but we're gonna get into it. Appreciate those super chats, everybody. Thank you so much for that. Get these out of here. All right, going back to the question. Africo Pop, are you married?
Yes, I'm married. I'll be married for 13 years in September.
Awesome.
And I'm working
So,
from home, and obviously you can hear my 4-year-old in the background. I'm currently pregnant with our second. Well,
let's
technically,
go. Let's go. Doing the work. Okay.
yes,
Congratulations.
due in April.
Congratulations to you and
And
your family.
thank you. And what I can say, and I have been privileged because I am Nigerian. I'm the daughter of Nigerian immigrants. My husband is Nigerian. Um, I have grown up with, 6, 7 figure couples and relationships. It didn't start that way. They came here and they hustled and they did what they had to do. But
Oh,
what
I
I can
know.
tell you, thank you. What I can tell you about successful men, particularly multimillionaires and billionaires, even, excuse me, that I've encountered is that they're saying marriage is a must. I like if you look at them, 90% of millionaires and or billionaires are married or have been married multiple times. And the reason why is because for some of them, they have the discernment to know to look out for what they need to look out for in terms of a partner, in terms of, excuse me, a wife. So a lot of times I understand there is a fear behind someone when it comes to marriage, but I came in the culture of you get your education, you get married and you have children. And that's what I grew up with. You get your education, you get married, you have children. And I saw strong examples of married couples all throughout my life. So it was never a thing of fear that I was going to find the wrong person because I had a village of men and women who hold each other accountable. And we all were, even if they weren't necessarily my relative, auntie or uncle, culturally, they were my auntie and uncle. So the benefits of marriage is you are building. Like me and my husband are.
Hey, I love this so much because it's like a real experience
The
from
real
a
life.
whole mommy right now.
Mhm.
So don't even worry about it. We
But
love
I'll
to
be.
see this right
Uh,
here.
boys be trying you, but it's okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. But I'll quickly say, and then I'll be on mute. Um, that me and my husband are looking at different stock and bond options. We are currently saving our money so we can get into the in our house. We are looking at building, a business so that we can be able to go between America and Nigeria. And we have the count of wise couples who are doing it and are doing it. So I'm gonna stop there because this boy's not gonna let me live. But I'll come back.
So you want to know what's funny is that the more you do that you're trying to be productive, the louder they get. It never fails. It never fails.
No, what the hell? No,
You could be sitting there doing
fam.
nothing.
No, you tell them. See, that's the difference between American black fathers and mothers and y'all Africans, because we tell you, we threaten the children.
No, I'm not talking about that part.
The children don't act like that shit. I don't know what you're talking about. No, the children don't act like that. No. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with Israel.
White children, and y'all foreigner children, they act a damn fool.
Are you seriously sitting here telling me?
I'm telling you, my kids didn't act like
children are more disciplined than African children.
Bro, my kids would never, bro. Listen, Trigger Mike, my kids would never do that. My kids would never act like that. Bro, I kick their ass, bro. And I only I would kick their ass.
He's talking to you. Shorty talking to you right now. Don't worry about what I'm doing, homie. Mind your own kids, homie.
You're about to get super soaker.
I'm gonna say it for him since he on mute. Man, your business, Israel.
Hey, I'm just trying to tell you, man. Nah, I can't agree with you on that. I agree with you most of the time, Trigger Mike. I can't rock with you on that.
We're talking about the mom, though. We're talking about as the mom is trying to be more productive, the kid is getting turned. This is the kid and the mom, not anything to do with the dad.
But
I don't know. Black moms did no, bro.
I got a question though. I got a question since all four of y'all.
No, hold on. We got to get to Moses first.
Let him go, and then it's me after that.
Okay. And then we're gonna come back around. So Moses.
Yeah, wait. You know I didn't answer yet though. After him.
Yeah. You coming? We're gonna go back around to you last. Moses, are you married?
What she said too. So keep that in mind.
Moses, you married?
I was married for like 7 months.
All right, so you can go either way. What are the benefits of marriage?
So I think for the benefit of marriage, for the first part for me was going through that was an experience for me, learning that there are some highs and lows you have to go through, especially when I think one of you guys said that you have to be selfless, and in the beginning I was a little bit selfish for a while, but then I realized, because I already knew the word of God, I was starting to lean into that more and just be able to be selfless and help her through a lot of things. So she was stay-at-home wife for a while because she was trying to find a job. But the thing is, with my time in that marriage, I was learning a lot of things about myself, because it's a reflection. As they say, you are learning for your spouse who you are, in the sense that you never seen in no one else, because most friends won't tell you that, because they don't spend time with you in the bed, right? Or your family. They just don't tell you these things. But as I was going through that benefit in marriage, the qualities I got was pretty much getting the financial part through the whole taxes and stuff, and just doing it through the right way. Not just on the little podcast got his little thing going. I don't say that, but it's not my style. I just want to get married the right way, and I want to get the benefits of what I'm getting out of my marriage from what God gives me through that. So I did it that way, and it went well. But the aftermath, after getting divorced and all that, I learned in this situation that I actually got better after my divorce, because I started getting financially more secure. And my money went up, because now I'm 30. I was 25 when I got married. And now, learning from that situation, I realized if I was to get married again, I have to be very patient now to study more than just looking at the looks, more than just being a beautiful woman. Because my ex was a Trinidad Dominican, mind you, from New Jersey. And I didn't see past that look. Looks just caught my attention. But I think everybody has to be very patient.
That was going to be trouble. I could have told you that.
For real.
Yeah, made in Miami, Florida. Yeah, even crazier.
Ooh, even crazier.
Yeah. But so it's all about learning that your benefits are in marriage is there. It just depends on what you're looking for. I just think traditionally, I wasn't looking at the traditional value system first. I was looking at the modernism and traditional, which was not a mix, like oil and water.
He was looking at that ass like modernism and tradition.
Let that brother finish the podcast.
Those are pretty good words.
Let that brother finish.
Those are pretty cool words.
That translation was on point.
Yo, I know, but it's crazy because I didn't even know what I was looking at that time. I was just looking at the relationship for marriage, because I was, at 18, I wanted to get married, but I didn't see no candidates that wanted that. I just knew that she heard what I wanted, that she became that, because she pretty much conformed to what I said. She didn't become that herself. she wasn't qualified as a as a woman to be a wife. But that's just what I learned from my singleness and then marriage, because I then got divorced. I mean, like I said, it was a lesson learned, but I think younger people than me should learn that. I think men in their 20s are not ready for marriage. I think your 30s, you should be ready because you don't have that finance down yet. You got to go through that process and know yourself well to just say, I'm ready for that, because commitment is not no joke. It is a real work. You got to be prepared.
And Moses DTX, to your point, I didn't come up thinking of the fairy tale of being married. I knew that marriage was work. Just looking in my community and how a lot, I mean, a lot of my aunties and uncles were not romantic; they were practical. And
Yeah,
then when I met my husband, he is not romantic. He is really a straight shooter, very direct. He'll be
same
like,
here.
"You're gaining weight," because he came up where there's not that so much tact involved in when you talk to a woman or whatever. He's like, "You're kind of." When he when he's like, "You're kinda thick," meaning I was kinda muscular because 'cause I'm very fit, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay." But even within, like, a week or 2, he's like, "You're it for me. I know." And my husband is very discerning. He has lived, he knows what is up. So, even though we've had our struggles and, the thing that you love might be the thing that you hate as well, like, "Oh, how come you didn't do so and so for me on Valentine's Day?" But I realized all of that is marketing, all of that is consumerism. That doesn't mean that just because my husband doesn't go by what you're supposed to do, doesn't mean that he doesn't love me, that he's not a provider, that he's not a protector. He's all those things. So it took, you're going through what culturally you grew up on, and then you have to deal also with society that they tell women. And women are told a lot of lies. And thank God but that I am a believer. I am a Christian, but even in the toughest times, I found, Kevin Samuels and other to understand men more, and that helped me with my husband because he is it. That is it. Regardless if we like each other, we don't like each other one day or not. There is no one else that I want to do this life with because we've done so much together. I mean, I was pregnant. We had our first child. I gave birth to him early. He died 7 days after being born. Me and
Oh
my husband
no.
were there, and
So
then
sorry.
Sorry for
my
your
husband
loss.
died. Thank you. There is no other, and then you hear this crazy one right here. There's no other person that I could go through that. And even when I hear some women, it's particularly women that have children, why would you? I'm not bringing a strange person to my children's life. There is no one who's going to love my children more than the man that I made my children with. And honestly, my mind shifted because before I was like, "Oh, no, I don't have no option. He's it. That's it." Thank God for discernment. Thank God for trials and tribulations. He is it for me, and that's how it goes. The for as far as the benefit. Now, some of the cons is you can't just get up and go. You do have to consider your spouse in every major decision that you make. And that is a very selfless person. And I tell people, don't get married if you're selfish. It ain't for you. Go ahead
Yeah.
and live your life, do what you need to do, be aside. But if you're a selfish person, if you think me, if you're ego driven, marriage is not for you because it's not going to work. And that's fine. I know Anton made a good point that we want to be examples of successful marriages. Not everyone needs to be married. Not everyone, if you desire to be married, that's good, but you have to do the inner work before you should even think or go into that level, because there are benefits, and it's particularly with taxes and things. There's so many benefits financially to be married, but you still have to be in the right mindset and deal with, you know, people like this.
Yo,
But
so
that's my 2 cents on
All
that.
right, Israel. You
Well
next.
yo,
said. Well
so
said.
so wait, I hate to be this guy, right? Well, I hate to be this guy, right? And I hate to I don't want to be the guy that speaks against marriage, right? Because like I really truly believe that if it's for you, then it's cool and I celebrate you, right? I always, if you remember me on the panels, if someone said they've been married 25 years or 13 years or 12 years, I'd be like, oh, congratulations, man. You're doing your thing. I'm genuinely excited and happy for them. I think I've been battling this thing about when everybody said, "Oh, it's fear and it's fear and it's fear," I really genuinely like to think that I'm a self-reflective person. I'm trying to think, yo, is it fear? at the same time, at my age, I've lived life, right? And I've been around a lot of people, and I've been in a lot of circumstances and situations, and I know myself, and I know how I get down, and I know how I give it up, right? And I know who I am. So it's challenging and it's difficult when you don't meet women who you feel are or who you think or who you feel are compatible for you in those ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, nobody's perfect, right? And I get that. And I'm far from perfect. At the same time, it's like, in my experience, you'll meet women who will quote unquote be on your program and listen to you and stuff like that, but they're selfish. They're selfish. It's all about them and what they can get, or they'll have like a narrow perspective or a narrow point of reference or point of view. And it's like, it takes so long, in my experience, it takes so long to deprogram or unprogram the programming. So they have some things about them that's like great, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm with it. But then some of those other things are like, yo, I can't deal with that shit. I just can't deal with it, right? And so as a single dude now who has been married, I think that's where I'm at. It's not so much as fear as it is like, yo, you meet people and you meet good women at the same time, they just not worthy of being married to, in my experience.
I was gonna say, Israel, you also been married.
I can't
before.
disagree with you. So
yeah, but you also been married before, so you have something going for you that a lot of people don't have, which is experience. So you could just be talking from experience. You are
right. Yeah, I'm talking from my experience. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. But I think that is dangerous when we just say, oh, it's fear, it's fear, it's fear. Yeah, in some people's case, it could be fear, but in other people's case, they know who they are and they're solid in who they are, and they're just not willing to settle for anything less than what.
Not only do I
deserve.
agree with you, I do agree with you, but that ain't the majority of people. So like, I do agree with. So when you ask, so this is the funny part. Like, any woman, like, literally, I just want to pluck. I don't want to say smack. I just want to pluck most women on the head, because the last time I seen the stat, 9 out of 10 women want a lifelong companion. 8 out of 10 of those women want to be married to that dude. Do not listen to women when they say they don't want to be married. It is the ultimate validation for them. Why do you think women, especially women in your family, act up at your wedding? Because they realize it ain't their wedding. They want their own wedding. Ladies be capping if they talk about
facts. And to add a little bit, and I'll stop, Trick Mike, for what you're saying is that, you know, I'm not intrusive to the point with some women, because you know how women get. But like, I was talking to a girlfriend and she was like, girl, I want to be married. I said, what? She's like, yeah, I want to be married. She's like, girl, don't let these single women fool you. It's tough out here. We lonely. I was like, oh, I thought it was hot girl summer and I'm taking my trips and I'm going on vacations and things like that.
But if she wanted, but not to interrupt you, but if she want to get married, and that's the problem. A lot of women want to get married because they're lonely, or because they want somebody to be with them when they're dead, when they die, or whatever. They don't want to be alone. But that's not. Those are not marriage. That's not marriage material. That don't mean that you're worthy of a marriage.
That's what I was going to say.
But that's when we start talking about doing the inner work.
Let's get the man Blake in here. He just how you doing, sir? Good afternoon.
Hey, I'm doing pretty right here. I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Welcome. What do you got on the topic before we get to our next question?
I know the topic is marriage. I know, man. I was in a relationship with a young lady, man. We were together 5 years, right? I got engaged, but ultimately it didn't work out. It kind of bothers me a little bit, but then sometimes I kind of saw some signs in her, and I'm not trying to badmouth her, but there were some qualities that she had that I don't think were conducive to marriage. It kind of to piggyback on what the lady said about being selfish, I think that she was, you know, single for so long that she was used to doing her own thing, and she didn't really know how to be in a relationship. I mean, she was the sweetest woman I ever met. I'm not gonna lie. But it was just certain things, man. I was like, man, I mean, you know, we're supposed to be together. It's like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? Even though we weren't married at the time, I was still sizing her up to see how she would behave if we were married. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? So it's like some women don't know how to work with a man, like come together and you know what I'm saying, and make things happen together. That's the gripe I had. Now she didn't really cook as much. Now that might be minor to some men, but for me, I prefer a woman to
Guys,
cook.
stop it.
You know what I mean? You ain't got to cook every day because I know how to cook. But I mean, that's just my thing. And I don't know if that was a superficial requirement on my part. I mean, feel free to chime in, but
No, it's not
I
superficial,
want a
brother.
woman to cook. Okay, I want a
You're
woman to cook.
entitled to have what you need and what you want, brother. That's the thing too. You're entitled to get what you need and what you want. Like no one else could tell you that that's not what you should have. If you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone, why would you settle? That's my thing. Why would you settle for what?
Absolutely.
And
All
you
right,
gotta.
remember-
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So remember, I said we're gonna get into it, man. This is the Trigger Mike Show. If you are just coming in, welcome
Hey,
to the
Trig,
Trigger Mike Show.
can you answer me one question?
This dude just gonna cut me off. Go ahead, podcast.
No, I'm asking
Little
you
podcast show.
because this idea that Pop put out there, right? And I've heard it a lot about men who are financially successful and how somehow that ties into the marriage. But I'm thinking about do these men build themselves up, right, before they get married? Is that not usually how that works?
No,
No.
usually how
So
that works.
I can speak to the couple. I'm sorry, but no. But Trigger Mike, this is your show. So
I don't know.
No, I mean, just to answer the question, that's not usually how that works. Men, like literally, think about it. A majority of men build themselves up into who they are during their marriage time. Like even doctors, it's like these dudes, everybody like, oh, he got so much money. He broke. His wife stayed there. He broke paying back money. His residency, he broke. My uncle had 4 children in medical school, like going to medical school. Like dudes are not out here building themselves. That's actually the worst advice you can give anyone. That bond that people build that just seems unbreakable is built during that time of duress. I stayed with him this long. I'm gonna ride it out all the way through. She been with him when he was broke, when he ain't had shit, when they were laying on one mattress on the floor, when it was that is how that bond is built. These men don't have nothing when these women get with them. No, that is not traditionally how it is. You see how Jeff Bezos' ex-wife was with him the whole damn time.
But you see how that worked out, so that's a bad example.
No, it don't matter.
Can you mute?
It don't matter.
But
let's get to the next question, because we gotta do this for time. Do children resent their single mother or father for not getting married? What do y'all think? Let's start with Mr. Blake. We'll start with you since you just got in.
Man, that's kind of a tough one for me because I don't have any kids. But yeah, I can't really answer that one definitively.
Well, you know what, sir? You know what, sir? We have friends, rather. We all, especially growing up here in the West, a lot of our friends coming up. I'll tell you a little story. In fact, let me start. When I was like in 8th grade going into high school, all of my friends that were moving into the neighborhood were like from newly divorced parents. Like their mom had to get their own spot. They sold their house. The mom got a little townhouse. And all of my friends that I had gotten that year were from newly divorced parents. They had to stay with their mom. All of these kids were like the most depressed kids, even though, we were coming out and playing every day. They would have these like despondent moments. And I'd see their dad picking them up and this type of stuff. And then you ask them what's wrong. My best friend at the time was like, my dad just went off and started a whole nother family. Like, now he sees the father got a new baby. You see what I'm saying? And he's being good to that woman, or, you know what I mean? Like, why couldn't you do this with my mom? So a lot of us have friends that even though maybe our parents were together, we've seen the residual effects of divorce and or not getting married altogether and how it affected our friends. So I think we can all actually answer the question, at least from that perspective. So what do you got to say about that?
Okay, I'll tell you this, like, because my sister, I had a niece and a nephew, and at the time, my sister was a single parent. do I think that my nephew or my niece, I'm gonna say my nephew, do I think my nephew was upset that he didn't that my sister didn't marry her dad or his dad? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I think I wouldn't say the married part. I think he was kind of upset that he didn't have a relationship with his dad. I don't think necessarily, because he never really mentioned why didn't my mother marry my pops or whatever. He never really mentioned that. Now he's 22 now, but I mean he's always had me and my brother in his life or whatever. But I'm pretty sure he felt the void. But I don't think he really was upset about the fact that they didn't get married. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Callie Bev, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome, welcome.
Hey everybody. How y'all
All right, we're
doing?
gonna come. We're good. We're good. We're gonna come to you next. Do you think children can resent their single mother or father for not getting married to the other parent?
Yeah, if they don't see any necessary like if they don't see any faults with the other parent, then yeah, they can become resentful from what I've encountered. Um, like let's say one of my friends or whatever, she grew up in a single mother household. She knows her dad, but it's like she can kind of separate the two. When we were younger, she used to resent the fact that her mama didn't marry her dad or whatever, but as she got older, she saw certain aspects of his life and she was pretty much like, maybe you made the right choice. It wasn't as bad though, because she did have her grandparents. She had other examples of couples coming together and everything like that, so it wasn't that big of an impact as far as the resentment was concerned, but it can definitely happen for sure.
Got you. We're gonna start at the top. Israel, what do you think? Can children resent their single mother or father for not marrying the other parent?
I think nowadays not so much resent them for not getting married. Children spell love time. So it's the time that those parents spend with the child. So this day and age, it's a lot of information. Things have changed a lot. So I don't think kids are so much hyper focused on it, especially in the Black community, on the parents being married, because most parents are not married in the Black community. At the same time, I think it's the time that those parents spend with that child. So if the parents aren't married and they spend a lot of time with that child individually or collectively, I think that they don't resent them at all. But if they don't spend time, I think that's when they get resentment.
Before we go to the next person, I want to kind of give y'all some backstory on what I'm basing this off of. By now, everybody's seen the clip of Lil Scrappy snapping on his mama. That is the basis for this question. That dude held back. Well, he just turned 39. That dude held back 3 decades.
But but Trigger Mike,
yeah,
to just offer some more information, like, yo, his circumstances situation was not. Well, I know, but that was extenuating. His mama was a P. She was a pimp.
Yeah.
She ran. She had a brothel, and she exposed her children to all kinds of. So that really had nothing to do
that's
with.
The extreme example. I agree. Extreme example. But even still, with the mental health issues of boys not knowing how to treat women, not being able to stay in functional relationships. In fact, I forgot to give my answer to the last question. Maybe I'll do that and then we'll start on this one. So what are the benefits of marriage and what does Trigger Mike think? All right. JayZ said, double your income. So some of y'all might have said, well, what if your wife don't work? Guess what? You doubling something. You're either going to double your income or your efficiency. Both of them have impact in your life tremendously. She's either going to be super efficient at home and be worth her weight to you, or she's going to go out and work and be worth her weight. Either way, you win. Number one, your children will be smarter. That is an absolute fact. Y'all, people out here that don't take not even marriage necessarily seriously, but cooperating with the person's father, and the time it takes to take the children here, focus on this. Someone said it, the gentleman that was up earlier. People living in 2 separate houses. That's a money pot gone for your children's activities, their education. So the simple fact that we're consolidating these costs mean we have more money to spend on stuff for our children. Our children statistically will be smarter. Children that come from 2-parent homes have those outcomes simply because we live in better school districts, if you want to be honest. All right. We create marriage and it, carry functional. Marriage allows your children to create more marriages and become functional, productive, respectful adults. Yes, everybody gaslight it and say, well, I know this hoe and her parents were married. I'm talking in generalities. In proportion, the overwhelming majority of kids who are functional and productive will come from a 2-parent household, or at least a amicable co-parenting situation in which they never lost a step with raising their child and keeping that child as the focus. So that is the benefit of that. There are 2 more that I want to name, actually, and I think podcasts had alluded to this. Men, I need y'all to listen up. The reason I got married at the time that I did, and this is very hard for men to do, we leave the game at our peak. Oh my God. The women that were flooding into my life, and I left the game. That's like the Eagles were beating on the 49ers ass. And they were like, nah, chill. And we left. We're just going to forfeit. While I'm looking this great, I just forfeit. That's the way it looks when some men get married. But the benefit of that for me was that I was on such a roll that I started to get anxiety. My nature started to kick in and say, if I'm this much of a bachelor, if so many things are going right for me, something about to go wrong. One of these women gonna get pregnant. Let's just call it what it is. When things are going this right, something about to go wrong. Mm-hmm. And I exited the game myself before that could happen. So marriage can take away your anxiety as a man. There's something to be said for that. All these fat booty chicks sliding through your bed one night, another one next night, and all of a sudden you get that text talking about I'm late to where? All right, so that is a big thing. And then this is probably the biggest one that I have on why marriage is a benefit. Your credibility to your children is the biggest benefit. Nobody wants to learn from someone who failed the fucking class. I can tell my children anything and they're going to believe me. You need to stay with that woman because you did it. Well, yeah, daddy did it. So I guess I got to listen. That's what my father did for me. What am I'm not going to listen to by this man when he did everything I did with immaculate precision better than I did it. You don't damage your credibility as a married man. You have it forever. Nobody wants to learn from somebody who failed the class. That's why you see these girls out here getting pregnant when their moms got at 16, 17, 18, or basically before they were married because their mama did it. In their head, they know that's what they're doing. What the hell is she going to tell me not to go over his house when you had a baby at 19? That's exactly what they're thinking in their head. So you damage your credibility by not being married. But that's what I got on that. So who's next? JayZ? All right. Do children resent their single mother or father for not marrying the other parent?
I want to say depends on the situation, but that's just general. I mean, if they see that the other parent is a deadbeat, pretty much just toxic as hell, and pretty much is just a damage to themselves and to people overall, I think they would eventually see that it was the right thing to do and not being with that person. But for the other side, I think some children do, especially when they see their friends' family being together and taking vacations here and there, going to the parks and so forth. The thing is this, that kids, they want validation a lot of times. And sometimes they seek the validation of their mom, cool, but there's nothing like getting the validation of a man, of their father. And there's a lot of kids that even in the parks when I'm playing with my son, that they'll come to me so I can play with them as well. And when I look over, is a single mom. You know what I mean? It's a is they so they're seeking that validation from a man. So I think eventually the child, as he grows older and he continues seeing that and so forth, not getting some type of validation from a father figure, I think in his psyche or even in her psyche, it'll start affecting, and the fruit will start producing eventually. Maybe not then, right then and there, but give it a few years, because it's just a little seed that's planted, and as you continue watering that seed, it's going to sprout out different type of different levels of that. So yeah, for the in general, I think it would come have resentment on that.
And,
Nice.
and can I
Yep.
speak quickly
Go
because
ahead.
I'm gonna have to leave in a little bit, but family psychologists who have done studies that examine children, young children who have counseled young children, and then later in the adults is initially kids cannot tell you, oh, or some children may not say, hey, I wish you and daddy lived in the same house. They may think it, they may want it, but you, unless you're very in tune with your child, and unfortunately, a lot of parents are not, they're not going to directly just say to you, "Hey, why isn't Daddy in the house?" And unfortunately, for some communities, when that is used to, for some families that they're used to it, they may not say anything until they see that it's different when they see someone with the mom and the dad. So with that being said, someone's doing this on purpose, but that's fine. That's fine. That's why I'm about to leave, and that's why this camera's about to be off, and you already know what's going to happen when this camera gets off.
Spank that ass.
Please.
It's coming, and once I'm done, Daddy, especially when Daddy comes through,
Yep.
it's a wrap.
Yep. She gonna tell Daddy what you got to say now, little man. Huh?
Oh, he gonna be, see, and that's the thing. I'm sorry, this is a mini rant. That's the thing that I don't like. I will talk, 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 talk. His daddy can just say two words, and that's it. The fear of God will come out.
Listen.
He's gonna be like, "Mommy, how come Daddy's not my best friend?"
Listen.
All this talk, but I'm sorry, I had to let that out because I know what's gonna happen when I tap my husband and say Kai did X, Y, and Z, and he's like, "No, Mama, don't that." And I'm sorry, but back to the subject at hand. What happens, what I see sometimes happens is if they're used to just being mama or seeing dad occasionally, when they do see a couple when mama and dad's together, it's like, well, how come daddy's not in the house? What, how, or they might think him and they might not say it. And like Trigger Mike said, I know Scrappy was an extreme example, but it does manifest later in life, because as you stated, children that grow up in a positive, healthy two parent household have been shown to be more productive, more successful than people who do not. So, yes, I do believe it does affect them. But you may not see it and it may come up later in life.
Thank you. All right. Podcast. I think we're gone out of order a little bit. Yeah, you go next. Do children resent their single mother or father for not marrying the other parent?
Sometimes. It don't even have to just be the birth parent though. I had a lot of resentment with my mom when she and my stepdad separated, and then when she decided to move on and started dating my youngest brother, my youngest brother's dad. That's when I started clowning, because my whole thing was I knew if he's here, then pops ain't coming back. So, and I didn't want that, and I had already felt like I wasn't being heard, like I wasn't being considered. The environment was kind of toxic and dysfunctional, and not having a relationship with my real father, my brothers, sisters, grandmama, uncles, cousins, aunties, and all that on my father's side. And then the one dad that I have known throughout the majority of my life, now he's gone, and you just want to go with this other cat. And man, it was downhill from there, my relationship with my mom. And you know, really it only in the last 5 years it really got into a healthy place. Prior to that, it was mad dysfunction, even though she always been there for me economically when I struggled. But yeah, it definitely will or it can cause a problem. I mean, even with my real dad, everybody, he ain't nothing but a junkie jailbird, but he's still my dad. And I'm tired of these niggas around the corner taking my bikes and my coats and my lunch money and all this other stuff. I got brothers, cousins, all these other people on the other side. I need them. No, it's my mom's decision to keep me away from my father's side of my family. So not even just resent not marrying them, but the fact that you keep the parental alienation. You keep the child away from his father's side of the family because you don't like the dad. So because you don't like the dad, screw the grandmama, screw the granddad, screw the cousins, the siblings, and everybody else. Mm-hmm. That was super duper damaging to me. And it's part of the reason why I'm very clingy. You know, even with my relationships with people on YouTube, they do the littlest thing to disappoint me, and I'm spiraling because, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, not again. That abandonment, it creates an abandonment issue. So I ain't finna go too personal because they're gonna call me a victim of it.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna be real because you actually said things developmentally leading up to me understanding what you just said. The other day you said you meant to hit me up, but you have a deep-seated fear of rejection. Yeah. So this just took me back to you saying that. Like, this is the point of what this question is supposed to. This is a grown man telling you it's taking him this long to recognize this thing in him. Now, I want everybody to pause and think about the real question. How many men, this is talk about men, don't even recognize it and are just out here terrorizing the world without an explanation for their feelings?
And Trigger Mike, real quickly, little podcast, thank you so much for sharing. And that's part of the reason, like, God forbid, if anything happened to my husband, I'm not gonna be out in these streets. I'm not. I'm going to, and that is when you become a parent, that is the sacrifice you make. It's not about you foremost anymore. Like, I wouldn't dare bring someone else around or try to start another family. If God forbid my husband were to go, because the same thing that happened to you, my dad died when I was 14, and my mom had a contentious relationship with his side of the family, and I never got close to them after that. And I would hate to do that to my son and my future child. So thank you for sharing. You reinforced what I knew to be true in me about if anything were to happen to my husband. So I appreciate you for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, boys need to have relationships with their fathers and their father's side of the family because it's not like it has to define them, but at the same time, it does kind of lend them some information to where they come from, and they don't feel so lonely or in the world. They don't feel like they lacking this bit of knowledge about themselves. And I mean, look, Trigger Mike, real quick. When my dad finally came and got me about 15, me and my mom just couldn't get along. She put me out the crib, took me to the police station. My dad came and got me. They told me your dad's on the way. I thought they was talking about my stepdad. Whole time is my real dad, right? Bro, when he came and got me, he's taking me to my grandma's house so I could stay with her. The whole time while we walking, because he ain't got no car, while we walking to my grandma's house, he bending down, picking up shiny stuff, trying to see if it's money or drugs, right? And that's when they hit me like, damn, they was right. I ain't really missing out on nothing, right? From this relationship with him. But at the same time, I did value him coming to get me at least and taking me around my people, even though it led to a bunch of BS after that. But
hey, yo, but look, because to the little boy, the dad is like to my son always be like, Dad, you're the best dad ever. Dad, I look just like you, or Dad, you know what I'm saying? They looking and they see you do they see themselves through your eyes, like it's like you are their hero. You know what I'm saying? To your son.
Yes.
You are their hero.
Listen, Israel, my son literally for the last 3 days just looked up at me the other day. Was it Saturday? Daddy, I want to be like you. And I didn't even understand what he's saying.
Just out of
So
nowhere.
I had to cut his hair because what he looking at the fade. The fade was fresh. And he was just, I want the side. I was like, Mommy, I got to go to his mom. That's his translator. I don't understand none of these kids be saying. Like, what is he talking about? He wants his haircut like yours. I was like, damn.
Because you the hero, man. You the hero.
Crying, but I was like,
yeah, you're the hero. They see this is the real issue in the black community. When the people say you ain't shit just like your daddy, or your daddy ain't this, or your daddy ain't that, what they don't understand and they don't realize is that these dudes are seeing, even if they don't know their dad, the image that they're looking in the mirror is their dad. And so they, when the woman or the person is tearing down their father or whatever shape, form, or fashion, that is the thing, and that is the anger that becomes involved as well. And that is why a lot of times we have the issues and problems that we have as well.
Sure, my 3-year-old wants my beard. My 3-year-old wants to have a beard already.
Oh yeah. My son does the same thing. He be like, I'm gonna have. He be trying to take it off. He said,
"You know, I ordered a fake one on Amazon. You know, I did that."
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do that, yo.
Yeah, he asked me about 2 weeks ago, talking about, "Can I have a beard?" I was like, "Damn, this thing to grow in on the side like that."
Yeah, that's what I said. I said it would be weird to be 9 and walk around with a beard. You gonna be 9 walking around with a beard.
The Snapchat filters. The Snapchat filters can give them a beard. So take a picture of that.
They got it on there too. I really hey everybody. I really like today's question. Thank you, Little Podcast and Israel. To see like how you're saying, like Scrappy and Little Podcast, like coming out years later, expressing how they feel. I think we love our moms and dads so much, we don't speak out against them, even though we may have those feelings on the inside. They can't process it, or they may not understand how to process that. I am divorced from my husband, and like, I don't want to cry either, like Lil Podcast, but it's like, I make it my mission not to talk bad about their father. And it's very important to me because I'm a person, I like wisdom, I like criticism, I like learning from other people's mistakes, right? And how dare of me damage the characteristics that they have to develop and see for themselves. Let them see that. Let them make their own decisions. Let them go to their dad and ask why, whatever, or I bring us together and say, why did this happen? Or why did you guys break down? You know what I'm saying? But that all depends on the woman too. We got to do the work, as much as we hate the situation that we're in. All right, baby, that's my nephew. as much as it pains us, we got to do the work. We can't be bitter. That's the decisions that we made, and that's what our life has come to. Okay, but we still have this child together, and we have to raise it as normal as possible. But unfortunately, in my situation, as much as I begged, pleaded, insinuated, suggested, it's just not there on that end. You know what I'm saying? And it hurts me so bad that when they finally do see their dad, it's like this big breath that just like a big exhale, like waiting to say, oh, he's here. They're so excited. But I want that to be more consistent. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, as I can only go so far as a woman. I don't claim Happy Father's Day to me because I am not a father. I am not a man. I am not masculine. I'm doing my best not to be that. So maybe I can enjoy another relationship, but pick a person that's consistent, that can, be a better dude, not dating down or marrying down so that they have a problem like with the stepdad and things like that, because I've heard those stories as well. But, I want to give them a better chance, and I try to give them experiences, and I don't rob them of their dad. The door is always open. The phone is always open. But, action is everything. I that's my fault that I picked poorly,
But
So
no,
I
it's
can't be
wait,
mad.
can I offer this? Can I offer this real quick?
Yes.
Like, I think that sometimes things don't work out. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just don't. Like, you can't, as a man or as a woman, you can't sit there and beat yourself up about the outcome, right? You have beautiful, I don't know how many children you have, but you have beautiful children as a result of being with that man. If you wasn't with that man, you wouldn't have those children. And it was for whatever it is, it's for a reason and by design, right? So the only thing that you could do is like Trigger was saying earlier, is to make up in your mind to be the best possible mother you could be, to never tear down the father, to keep the lines open. And the funny thing about kids is they grow up. And when they grow up, they're able to see for themselves who the damn problem is. Trust and believe. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say nothing. They'll come to you and they'll be like, oh, my mama or my daddy was this. And you just be like, oh, okay.
Hold on real quick. Podcast, check the back chat. I got to use the restroom.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So the deal is, try not to beat yourself up. Relationships sometimes don't work. They don't go according to how we want them to go or how we think they should go. But just try to be the best you could be, and then in the meantime, don't ever muddy the waters. Because if your ex-husband turns out to be a douche, a piece of poo, whatever the case may be, your children are gonna know it, and that's just gonna be it.
Yeah,
Let me say
you're right,
something.
Angela. It's just so hard. I try not to beat everybody up. Make everybody seem like a loser, even though that's what may be the term. But a lot of people, especially at my church, right, they were like, girl, if it was me, I would have did this. Girl, I don't know how you do it. But I'm not malicious like that. That's not how I was built. And even though what happened, what has transpired, I still got to come out here and be who I am, not let the situation change me, even though that's what it is what it is. But it's like, that's not me. I'm not malicious. And a lot of people will say I'm dumb too. Let me expose myself. I didn't put him on child support.
And you should listen. This is the thing too, and it's not popular.
Some people think I'm like whack.
No, that's not dumb.
He doesn't have a life.
That's not dumb. That's not dumb.
He doesn't have a lot.
That's not dumb.
So why would
That's
I
not
take
dumb.
more
Exactly.
than what he has? And then he's mad at me that I took his money. Now he really don't want to come around.
Exactly.
So
that's not dumb.
Yeah, you're putting him in a position.
So, wait a minute. Let me say something.
Hold on. Wait, real quick, Beans. I was talking, then go ahead, real quick. That's not dumb at all. Like at the end of the day, right? You can't. An angry man says this, if a man doesn't have enough character and integrity to take care of his children and be in his children's life, there's nothing that you could do to force that man to do that. Yeah. Even if you put him on 1,000 child supports, if he's a loser, he's not going to pay the child support. All that's going to happen is going to get locked up, maybe, or they're just going to be chasing him. He's just going to owe the money. So the deal is a real, and I hate the term a real man, but a man is going to take care of his children regardless. It is not the job of the state or the job of the government to make a man take care of his family. Yeah. So by you choosing not to do that, don't be peer pressure. And you see, this is the problem too. Like the sister was saying earlier, a lot of women are peer pressured by other women and peer pressured into doing stuff that's not complimentary for their family or not in the best interest of their family. It's just, oh, I would do this or I would do that. Girl, you're crazy, or girl, you're stupid. No, you're not. You know what's best for you and your family. You know instinctually what the best thing to do is. So stick to your guns and don't let nobody else.
And I know podcast real quick, but a lot of women don't realize that the burden of child falls on women, and so you have to be selective with who. And not to talk about you, this wife school podcast, but a lot of women are not selective because 80% of the children are made by 17 to 20% of the men, and these men have a certain prototype. So women I tell women, yes, baby. Okay, I'm good with you. I tell them you have to be selective with your womb in terms of who you have children with. And then when you do have a children with that man, if you're insulting that man, you're insulting yourself because you pick that person outside of, extreme circumstances. You pick that person. So I mean, if I hear women dog whoever their past relationship or their children's father, I'm looking at you crazy because you're the one who laid up with that person and you're the one who chose that situation. So I always tell women you have to be selective.
Listen, Listen, that is not only is that facts. I've lost friends behind that very statement. I am 100% that dude. Do not talk trash to me about your baby mother. You the idiot that nutted inside her. I said that straight to one of my best friends from college. You tripping, man? I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not amending the statement. The hell I look like talking trash about my wife when I gave her 2 of them things. She popped out 2 of them, babe. I didn't learn my lesson the first time.
Like,
let me ask that from this dynamic, because I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about on the flip side of the same coin. When a woman is married, she has a child, and then the unfortunate happens where they get divorced, right? And let's say the father is still a good dad. You guys are whatever, you guys are separated, but he's still a really good father. Is it more of a probability that the woman will be able to find another man in her life to wife her up if she is willing to let go of that child, let's say after the child is like 6 or 7 years old, to the father, so the father can start raising him? Because we all know the statistics that, single mothers raising boys, they tend to be in jail more often and so forth. They tend to have a lot of more mental issues and whatnot. Are women willing to give up their child at the age of 6 or 7 years old to the father, if he's a good father, so that now the man can raise his child up to be a man? And then it also kind of eases her burden a little bit to kind of, try to put herself out there in the marketplace again to try to get wifed up as well. Do you know what I mean? Well, do you know the statistics of that? If women are more marriageable, if that situation happens?
The statistics say no. Hell no. Because let me just put this in there. Giving up the child is giving up power in Western society. Women are power hungry. They understand that they're supposed to give a young boy to his dad. Mothers are not natural disciplinarians. In fact, screw that. Strike that. Run him his kids. Give the girl to him too. She will benefit from that discipline. It with equal effect. You're supposed to run that man his kids. Do you not understand that prior to 1955, children were considered property of their father? You had none of these, and with that, you had none of these risk factors for them. None of them existed. So they don't want to give up their power. The power that they have was bestowed upon them by the U.S. government.
I agree.
Giving the child to the man is giving their power away, and they're not going to do that.
Right. I don't remember when it happened, but somehow the idea that you carry the baby, was told to women like, that makes you, right? That's really your baby. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? That's your child, really, right? At the same time, I need you to be equally responsible, equally financially responsible, right? All this other stuff. But at the same time, I get to dictate it. So I don't see many women, like Trigger said, relinquishing that power. But to answer your question on whether or not it would increase women's value in the dating market, I think it would. Because, man, listen, I love my girl, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel maybe not so much as responsible, but I feel like a deep sense of I guess responsibility for the outcome of her children. But I guarantee you, and I can promise you, and I can be honest with you, I am, oh my God, bro, lusting the day that them little boys go somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? That they go to the military, that they go to college, that they get the hell on. So
I gotta go, guys, but someone wants to say bye.
So I can have my woman to myself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So I think, yes, to answer your question, I think it would help women in the dating market if they were willing to give the kids up.
Are y'all talking about giving up full custody? Y'all talking about like co-parenting situation?
Custody. No, it's
Custody.
Whatever you have.
Callie Bev, hold on.
Custody.
Here's why you should trust full custody with the male. You have never heard, and y'all are gonna cap, well, not y'all, but the women in chat. You have never heard a man say a child don't need its mother. You have absolutely heard a woman say a child don't need his father.
That's
Father, if you want to take this visitation crisis away, give the child to the father. He will gladly bring that child over to the mother so he could smash some guts at his house by himself. He will gladly do that.
Facts on facts. Facts.
All of these problems arose when you gave power to the moms. None of this stuff has ever existed when children were the property of their father. Give that man his kids and watch him do right by them. That's all society need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I won my case with my daughter. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I was a single father when she was 3 years old, and I won the custody battle full time. And the thing is this, that I didn't originally want to put her on the paperwork at that time because she has open access to her whenever as she pleases. She wants to call her. It's all good. It's all good with me. There was nothing. The only reason why I had to get the paperwork was because the school system and dealing with medical records and stuff like that. They needed that in order for me to make some type of decision, because they would always ask, where's the mom? Where's the mom? And I would have to explain to her, the mom is out of state. She's no longer here. Well, you got to get paperwork and so forth. So I had to do the paperwork and so forth. I told the judge, listen, I don't need no child support and everything. I just need this paperwork so forth so I can make the ultimate decisions on her medical, school records, and all the other important decisions that I need to make as a man. And to this day, I mean, she's a smart little girl, you know what I mean, in STEM school, honors and so forth. And, now she has a mother figure with my wife. And the thing is, with the mom, I never, even to this day, close that communication with her and her mom. She can visit her whenever she pleases. She can call her whenever she pleases, because at the end of the day, that's her mother. And maybe that can kind of help the mom's mental state as well. My daughter's fine. You know what I mean? But I see it more prone that the father is more willing to allow the other significant parent to allow them in their life than the mother is to the father, which is
right.
You know what I mean?
JayZ, this is the funny part, because every time this type of narrative comes up, right, it's always this, doubt about whether or not men can handle it, right, or whatever. It's like, what do you think the worst thing is gonna happen? You gonna give the kid to the father, and the father ain't gonna be able to take care of it? Then he gonna get the same Section 8 you get, the same welfare you get, you get the same thing you get, and make the same decisions you get, and the kids still gonna have the outcome.
There is one difference though, podcast, and I need to highlight this before we get to these super chats. You won't get the complaints. You won't get the same.
Oh yeah.
So that's the difference.
Gonna have a better outcome.
But do men with the kids get the same level of benefits though? I don't think men with the kids get the same level.
You know what the funny part? We don't even ask.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we don't even
ask for the benefits.
We don't. That's what
I don't even know, man. To be honest, dude.
It's the same level of benefits because it's all based on income. It's not based on your gender.
And men make more money, so there we go.
So they wouldn't get it.
Callie Bev, you're gonna start the next one.
So we wouldn't qualify.
You get ready. We're gonna start the next question off. It's in the back chat too. Tech Nobility, $5. What is the deal with this Peter Pan young forever thinking with our people? A good question. AP, my man, I keep saying this. Are there any dusty Nigerians in America? Man, y'all grind and seem to be family first. I love it. Okay, well, let me brag on my people real quick. I am very, very weirded out when people keep glorifying white people all the time in America. I understand that there might seem like there's a divide between, what are they calling them? FBA, Foundational Black Americans, and Africans. All right, y'all contributed to it too. Y'all terrorized my ass in elementary school, by the way. But I want you to understand that the most effective people in the United States are in your own image. The most educated people per capita in the United States are Nigerian. The person who makes more money in the United States per their Middle Eastern and Asian counterparts are Nigerian men and women. Nigerian women are the number one in corporate placement over any woman, number one in STEM degrees over any woman. So when people are saying black people can't, you better stop. We may not be American, but we're black. Yeah. The cops don't pull me over and ask if I'm a nigga
or an African.
Are you a nigga or an African? Because I only give tickets to niggas. They don't do that. My experience is at least half the same as yours. So understand, this is why we don't like excuses. And we come here without one gift, not me. I'm an anchor baby. But there's one gift you have over us that should take away all your excuses. you got motherfucking citizenship.
Yep.
And these people don't.
And Mike,
All right.
That's a horrible argument. I know that ain't.
You know we gonna get into it.
No, Mike is right though. I mean, I was born in African family. Look, my mom is from Ghana, my dad's from Liberia, so I know what Mike is saying because I found my ancestry. I did that little thing. I'm part Nigerian, so I already know what he's saying is true because a lot of African families are definitely pushing their kids to be better, and he's right. I mean, people don't know this; they just don't understand that the division is African and African American. There's a video on Amazon. Look it up. It's called African versus African American. It's a pretty good video about why they versus each other so much, why they battling each other, and it's like that divide. It doesn't make any sense to have that.
I mean, you basically gave the solution in your statement. Family. We're not even going to talk about it from a ethnic standpoint. America, the society of America, is going to belong to the people who prioritize keeping their family together. So it's not even there are not even enough Africans here to be number one. There are not even enough Asians here. These Mexicans and South Americans about to run circles around y'all ass simply because they keep their family together.
Yeah,
y'all joking about them being 12 in one house, 10 in one car. Guess what? That's human capital. Somebody can take care of grandma.
Do the dirtiest jobs.
Y'all laughing at their ass. They about to be laughing at you.
Yep, they be right in the parking lot at Home Depot, hustling, and go back home and have their wife and family, everything.
A dude that make $100 a day got a woman at home washing his feet. How you doing at home?
Man, that power is right there. That's the power.
I think Theodore Roosevelt talked about that in the early 1920s. That when pretty much the white culture, quote unquote, whatever, if they ended up getting extinct by the minority, then that's their fault because there was an influx of families, large families coming in from other countries and so forth. And people will say, "Oh no, I just want a one child, two child." But then you have the minority coming in with like 7 and 8 kids and everything, and just taking over everything.
Yep. There are people in Nigeria, in parts of Asia, in parts of the Middle East, parts of South America, who have citizenship to where they're from, but they're trying to get here. Why is that? And I don't want you to answer. Wait. The question is rhetorical. I just want to make you think about something. Now,
I've thought about that.
Black people in America.
We keep having this discussion, and I see America is about capitalism. Like, people act like we're coming here to take part in somebody else and be like something. This country put a for sale sign on it a long time ago. It's up for grabs.
Yo, and I'm gonna ask what Trigger might say. In Dallas, we have a high influx of Nepali people moving here, and they're very culturally taking over in areas where they're not seeing a lot of business because they know how to leverage their cultural of understanding that we as a people need to build these areas with their name. They got a Nepali restaurant right by me about to be built up, and I came here in 2016 at 23 years old. That was not there. They took over spots they did not see no one doing. So they said, let's make this money as a culture and let's make our family here and let's get the other families involved so we can make sure the culture is getting stronger with our community. Because this is the main thing. Like you said, the Spanish people are doing it well. Shout out to them. They taught me a few things. I can't lie. They do know what they want, and that's a family first, and they can get it right. We just follow the blueprint. It will come well. But that's the thing. No one wants to read that. Just ignore it.
Americans, listen, as far as I don't even know why we talk so much about black people, white people suffering the same damn thing.
Exactly.
All right? If black people got the flu, white people got a really bad fucking cold. Okay, so
that's the fact, bro.
They are like that's why you see them now like white. What are they saying? White babies replace white baby. They screaming like, "Oh damn, we about to be extinct," and we doing it. It's our fault. If you do not prioritize family, you about to be sinking by the wayside. But let me finish these super chat. Sophisticated jerk, keep up the good topics. Proud of you, Trigger. Thanks, my man. Be on a panel with you soon. King Spark, $57.99, $10. How you gonna resent the one person who held you down? Sounds hella ungrateful. You could have been a foster child. People better learn to be thankful for what they do have. I don't know who he's talking to. Who y'all think he's talking to?
He probably talking to me, but I don't care.
Oh, how you gonna resent the person? I think it's talking about
my man Gerald Jaquez, $5. Translation: modernism and traditionalism equals tits and ass. Like I said, The sophisticated jerk, $10. Even though podcast said I'm not sophisticated, homie was dropping some dollars.
Where did I say that? Y'all be making up.
We be on a lot of panels, bro. We be on a lot of panels. AP, my man, what does marriage stop you from doing? Both JC and podcast.
Yeah, you ain't
Man,
That was too early.
it
Oh,
starts
yeah.
for me being a dumbass. That's what it stopped me from doing.
Remember, yep.
But I do want to say this really quick, bro. The people from these other places, they have citizenship where they're from, but they want to come here. Why? Right? Now you have to apply that why to Black people here. We understand that we live in the information age, and Black people are doing better than people want to get them credit for. It's just that we ain't married a lot, right? But individually, we doing okay. But that's the thing I hate just about that particular argument about the you have citizenship, yeah, and we're the targeted ones. We're the ones
targeted. You know what?
Yes.
Stop with the terrorism. I did not prep my ISIS alert. I'm calling national security on you. Stop with the terrorism.
Bro, somebody, are you the same person who would say that every time it's a election year, the media start floating around all these stories about, you know, this happened to Black people and this happened to Black people to promote or incite
I may look
Black
like
people to vote a
chaotic.
certain way?
Don't put his talking points. Like that's probably chaotic. People can't tell they're Nigerians apart these days. All right, Cali Bev, we coming to you first.
You silly.
Do women need marriage long term? I know a lot of them saying, I don't need marriage. We don't need marriage. But you're not going to be 30, 40, 50 forever. Do they need it as a long-term strategy?
I've seen it work both ways. So just depends on that person. Like my grandmother, she's still kicking it. She 80 something years old or whatever. And she's not married. You know what I'm saying? She was, but you know, not to the certain point, but her family is so big, you know, she got her kids, grandkids, and great grands. So, you know what I'm saying? It just depends on that type of person. Like if you are a more of a sociable person, then I can probably see you wanting to have that companion or whatever like that for, you know, long-term sake. And it makes you feel more at peace and it makes you feel, you know, more secure. Whereas somebody else who's, you know, kind of a loner or whatever, they might not need that lifelong companion. It all just depends on the person. I think it can work either way.
Okay. Thank you for the succinct answer. Yeah, this one is going to be 1 minute long because I want to hear from the ladies first. Wife school. Do women need marriage as a long-term strategy for survival?
Depending on the life they want to live. I rather that women have a man as a long-term strategy because there's just something that a man can do that a child cannot, that a dog cannot do, that a cat can't do. And those, you're going to want somebody around. You're going to be calling somebody. My grandmother's 89 and she'd be like, y'all ain't call me. Y'all ain't check up on me. And like everybody, you need to have some type of human interaction. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe a long-term relationship for the people that don't want to get married. You know what I'm saying? Like life is meant to be lived in the terms of relationships. So I rather that females enjoy it with a nice man. See, look at Blake Holmes. Like he's a nice man, you know, boom. Or you know what I'm saying? These are beautiful men. Like why just leave them out there? Make them a sandwich.
That's right. Speaking of brother Blake Holmes there was about 5 seconds where I thought you were that pastor from New York. The one that wearing a goofy.
You talking about my cousin?
I mean, I legit was like, yo, is this dude?
Don't talk about my cousin like that, yo.
I know who I'm talking about.
Don't talk about my cousin.
Lamar
Whitehead. Lamar Whitehead. Don't talk about my cousin like that. That's my cousin.
I'm not making
my
jokes
brother right there next
from
to
that vantage point. Y'all got the same jawline. Y'all look like he wears that hat with those glasses. Like I was like, Blake Holmes, my ass. This is Lamar Whitehead.
Hey, brother, you live in the country, don't you, Blake? Don't you live in the country?
No, I'm in Houston.
Oh, that's the country, fam. That's not New York.
No, player. But that ain't the country, man. Well, yeah, you
that's
right.
down
Hey,
south for real. What you mean?
Hey, but listen. So check this out. I kind of got to chime in on what the lady up top said in the red. It's interesting that you said that because I'm the complete opposite. Because for the most part, I'm somewhat of a loner kind of type of cat. So I lean more towards my woman to like kind of fuel that social type of vibe in me. So for me, it's the opposite. I found it interesting that you said that something. You said the complete opposite of what I was thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because I really
Well,
don't
yeah, like,
social. Huh?
well, I would say that in the specific case of my grandmother, a couple of my aunts lived there on the property with her. So she always has
Oh,
somebody coming in and out. You know what I mean? Whether it be one of my aunts or one of my cousins. So she has family around her, 24/7. But I know, like, using my dad and my granddad as an example, they're not really all that sociable either, but they got married like right away. As soon as, not too long after, well, my dad's a special case, but anyway, my granddad, after my grandma passed away, he was married within like a year. I mean, nobody really liked her like that, not yet anyway, because we were still mourning my grandmother, but you know what I'm saying? Both my dad and my granddad and his dad, I should say, they both got married straight away, and they're not really out there like that. So I can see that, like I said, and it just
yeah,
depends on the person.
yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So for the men, we're gonna switch it around because thank you, ladies, for answering the question. Because this is, to me, is a question I can't really answer that well. I don't know if y'all heard me say that marriage is only for 3 types of men these days. Anyway, it's for traditional men, religious men, and broke men. So, if you adhering to family tradition, right, you got to do that. If you in the church, you know that's what's expected of you. And if you a freaking leech and want to leech off a woman, some dudes do that too. But for every other type of man and the modern man, really, it's hard to make a case. So starting with Israel down at the bottom, do men need marriage at all? Israel. Oh, you on mute, bro.
You on mute, thankfully.
Okay. Thankfully, nah. Hey, listen, men don't need marriage. The reason why men don't need marriage is because traditionally, even if you're a traditional man, like I consider myself to a large degree, you don't necessarily need marriage because everything that a woman could do for you, you can get without it.
You were reluctant. I could tell he was like, shit. I'm probably contradicting myself in the past.
Nah, that's not a contradiction, but it's true. Like the truth is, like, nowadays you can get everything that you need. Like you don't necessarily have to be married to get everything that you need. For a man.
That's fine.
Got you. Flex Henry 3, what's going on, my brother? Good afternoon to
I'm
you.
all right. How you doing? I'm all right.
All right. Do men need marriage?
Absolutely. Men need marriage. Everyone does. But the way that society is going right now, they're phasing out the middle class. You're definitely going to need to partner up. You might not think so right now, but give it about 5 years, you're going to have to find somebody. And it's better to do it sooner than later, because if you wait till later, you're going to be at somebody's mercy. But marriage brings you, when men look at the negatives of being married, that they're usually thinking about the aftermath of the marriage of a woman taking half. But usually when you are married, it gives you a little bit more of a certain type of ambition, especially if you want to leave behind a legacy. If you have multiple kids and you're going to want to help them get through college, or you're going to want to leave them some type of inheritance, because they're the ones that's going to carry on your legacy. If you're just by yourself, there'll be no need for you to even think of the future like that. You're just thinking about yourself. You're just thinking about surviving. You're just thinking about getting through life. You're not going to have that same type of drive. Now, some people do, but most people that have that wife, those kids at home, they know when they leave the house, they're going out there for a certain purpose, with a certain type of drive and a certain type of ambition that someone that only has to fend for themselves doesn't have. So I think that gives you a little bit of extra.
As a man though, Trigger Mike, you're supposed to have that ambition for yourself. Like, I mean, I have children and 2 of my daughters are in college. And so, and my daughters and my sons, you know what I'm saying? They're my namesakes. They are my legacy. And I've firmly cemented philosophy and mind state and principles and morals within them. So I mean, but at the same time, if I didn't have any children, I would probably grind. When I didn't have any children, I grind just as hard as when I had children. You know what I'm saying? Because it never was about just being successful. Should be being successful for being a man to live anyway. It shouldn't be tied to anybody. It should be tied to your own desire to be successful.
Do you know what, podcast? You were right. You said something earlier, bro. You said everybody on this panel right now has drastically good circumstances in their life. Partly because of the reason we feel comfortable coming up here and talking about anything, because we got the circumstances to back it up. And what's funny about that is I learned this from listening to Anton. I learned this from listening to other people. Sometimes when you're doing so well in life, we forget about the little guy or the average guy. And I'm telling you right now, most men have absolutely no purpose in life. That's why it's called the talented 10th. The only thing that will give these men purpose is their family. That is the average man's purpose. The only thing. They have no drive. They will not go for that promotion at work. They will not do anything outside of the ordinary if it is not for the better provision of their family. That has been historically true since the beginning of time.
What if they lose their family, Trigger Mike? That's crazy though. What if they lose their wife? What if they lose their children?
They got no purpose after that.
What if their wife cheats on them? What if she divorces them?
Oh, well, I mean, I was going to say, in those particular cases,
that's
those
crazy.
are specific cases. But what we're talking about is the creation of family and something to live for, look forward to, wake up for, work more for. That is most men's purpose. That's undeniable.
This isn't hard to see, right? Israel, you don't make 45K a year. And the reason why you don't make 45K a year is because you're driven to make more. Most people don't want to be responsible for maintaining businesses. So they get up and they go punch a clock because it's the easiest thing to do. I can get up and I can go punch this clock, and they choosing a job off what they willing to do, or they choosing a job off the type of money that it pay, and they just gonna go punch that clock, and I can take care of my bills, and I can have my Long Island iced tea. Shout out to Long Island iced tea. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. I agree with Trigger on it. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, one of the difficulties in having these particular conversations on panels, no disrespect, I love JR, but especially JR on the Lapeef Network, is everybody rich. And to me, it clouds y'all judgment.
Everybody's not rich. I'm not rich.
All y'all are rich.
Bro, I'm not rich, bro. I do good
Me
for
and my
myself.
husband are regular regulars.
I believe
we are so regular.
I do good for myself.
I am a broke single mom working on $160 if they call me in.
Well,
But
I'm really not. I'll be honest. I'm really not talking
resourceful.
about the women. I'm talking about the men.
Resourceful.
But Israel, I just want you to know, I believe you. Get out of here, man.
Hey, yo, look at my man. My man. Listen, my man next to me, right? He
Black
say he
family,
don't.
also rich.
Wait. He say he don't have no children. He's never been married, right, brother? So
he
married. What you talking about?
Yeah,
no, my brother. No, my
Black
brother.
home. You pointing the wrong way.
Yeah.
You're pointing the wrong way.
Well, it's my camera split up. My camera split up.
Yeah, Blake Holmes,
Yeah, my brother with the hat, Blake Holmes. Yo, so you can answer this, brother. Yo, do you have ambition outside of having a wife and kids? Because you seem like an older brother.
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, man.
It doesn't have anything to do with having a wife and kids.
You missed
Not at
my
all.
point. You missed my point.
No. I understand your point, Trigger Mike, but you missed my point. My point is that, as a man, it should not depend on having a family or not having a family. As a man, you should want to succeed for success' sake. You should want to be the best you could be for being the best sake. You should want to do the best you could do because that's what you want to do in life, and the life that you want to live.
We don't disagree.
Mike. If what you were saying was 100% true, then no men would ever work at Walmart. No men would ever just work regular jobs. Every man would be a manager of something, a supervisor of something, an owner of something.
I'm not saying there's no men that don't want more, but I'm saying a man. Listen, like my man Achilles. Like my man Achilles said, then your name will never be remembered. Like I do it for the glory of being a champion.
You don't even realize you proving my point right now.
That's a fact.
Exactly.
What you mean?
It takes look. It takes a man, because you said my man right here, he's on a panel with other men and feels comfortable within himself to do that. There's a reason why we only had the same dudes coming up on the panel. Is because they established themselves in a certain way. They feel confident in their ability to even come up here and talk about themselves at all. Right. So it's not all men. In fact, it's not most men. It's not most of anybody. It's not most women either. Because you're right, Israel. Most men should. That's why I said you gonna like listen to Anton. He'll boost your chest up. Then you walk outside your door and be like, damn, I ain't shit. That's what most men are gonna do. They be like, this dude gave me he said everything I gotta be successful. He's right. He's right. Then they realize that shit come with responsibilities. Let me take my dumb ass
God. Bro,
you gotta get the only reason they'll go back and do what he said is because they got a family and a woman that might put their battery in the back and say, I got kids that need daycare.
Let my man Blake speak, because he don't have let Blake speak, man. Let Blake
I gotta
He's not gonna make an argument for
let Blake speak real quick, fam.
But it's true though. As a man, you shouldn't need a woman to have to put that. I mean, in some cases it happens, but as a man, you should already have that plan in your mind already to execute. The woman is just icing on the cake. I'm already moving. I don't need no woman to push me, man. Now, granted, a woman might, bring different ideas to the table or help complement what I have going on, and I 100% welcome that. But I don't need her to put more ambition in than I already have.
She was only supposed to be a compliment. See, she was only supposed to be a help to bring a compliment. Listen, a woman is only supposed to be a help me.
Y'all are treating it like we're saying you're wrong. You're 100% right. That's why I keep saying this is why we have terms like 10%. This is why we have terms like 1%. The execution of it is when most men are going to go wrong. Y'all are 100% right. This is what most men are supposed to want. But you can execute it correctly. That's exactly. That's what y'all are 100%. This is how men should behave, how they should thrive. Why do you think the women go after the same 20% of men? Why is that? What does their hypergamous nature teach them? That all men are not created equal, and I want the alpha. There would be no such thing as alpha if everybody behaved like one, right? So y'all are right, but what I'm saying is when it boils down to it, most men are either lazy, unproductive, non-functional. They have impairments of learning. They got all, like, you see what I'm saying? And that is what pushes other men forth to the top of the totem pole. That's all. But let's continue, Mr. Marriage, Politics, and Sports. How you doing today, sir?
Well, fine. I got on late, so I didn't know what the question was on the.
No worries. I'm about to restate the question. And you are the OG. You are the OG of the panel on the question.
All right.
All right. You tell them how long you've been married before you answer it, please. Do men need marriage? Yes or no?
I think marriage benefits men. I've been married for 35 years. But that doesn't mean that they need marriage to be on their game and be productive. I think marriage and family focuses men. I think if you're looking at focus, I look at the ballers, the NFL ballers, the stars, the ones in the NBA, the ones who are married early, they tend to be getting less trouble. They tend to be more focused on family. Not all of them. They tend to be able to say, I got this family unit that I have to take care of. I'm going to have my fun, but I'm going to focus on playing football. I'm going to focus on playing basketball. I'm not going to be chasing the honeys indiscriminately, that kind of stuff. So that I'm not going to get in trouble. And so I think marriages focus men. So if you have to already have a plan in place anyway, and so, but marriage helps you focus it because now you have a purpose not only for you, but for a family unit. And that's how I look at it, so, but I would never tell a man that, who wants to be single. But I know that if you want to save money, that you need to get married because as a single man, you're spending that shit like crazy. But, on whatever you're doing. I mean, I'm just joking there, but, you tend to be a little bit more reckless. You'll live it, you might have a nice house, but you might be happy in a hovel, until the woman comes in and tries to dress that up. You know, those kind of things. So women are beneficial for a lot of reasons, but a family unit helps you focus all that energy you have on something because now you have a purpose greater than just yourself. And that's how I look at it.
And I think if you're talking about the average man, I think the average man needs that to elevate himself. I think if you are a self-driven person, it takes a certain amount of selfishness because there's things that you want to do in life. There's things you want to conquer. There's things you want to just add. You want to keep climbing the ladder. But not everybody is born with that kind of drive and ambition. Some people, it's just like some kids you got to discipline and tell them to do their homework. And some kids come home and they do their homework right away. And there's a difference between that. Some kids
But the
you
only
don't
thing
got
I'll ask you though, brother, when you mean average man, I'm not just talking about the average man. I mean, you could be well to do and still need that focus, especially if you're well to do, right? Because now the world's more your oyster. And you know, so what's your governor? You know, just your imagination. You know, if you can get everything on your own. So, but if you have a family unit, you still have to say, okay, I got all these riches. Let's just say you're rich, but now I still have to do the same basic things to take care of my family and move them where I want them to move. You know, but you just be doing it at a higher level. That's how I look at it. So, you know, whether you're the poorest guy or the richest guy, and you're in a good relationship and a marriage relationship with somebody, I think the focus will be on your relationship with your wife and how you're going to raise your children, especially if you want any. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. You know, if you're a poorer dude and you get a wife who loves you, first of all, you know she loves you because it ain't about the money, right? And then you're going to be moving from the standpoint like, how I'm going to take my family out of where we are to a better place. Right. So, and you'll be thinking about that. How I'm going to protect my children in this bad environment. How I'm going to do all these kind of things. So you'll move in that kind of direction. If you're a middle class guy, like most of us, you know, you just want to do more than survive, you know, and if you're rich and you have a wife you love and the kids that you want to take care of, you probably tend less to not exercise those options of cheating with everybody.
Hey,
you know, because you have them.
Question real quick, Payne. Trigger, you want me to read this comment in the back chat that George came up and left?
Please.
George, who hit the panel, he left. He said a man should have their own drive, but being married and having a family gives a person more of a purpose. Okay, go ahead.
That's a good statement. That's a good statement right there. All right, who was the?
I agree with that.
Next, all right, JC. Do men need marriage?
Men need marriage. Most men need marriage. All men don't need marriage, but most men do. For the points that you guys already expressed, I think there's a drive that comes with a sense of once there's a sense of responsibility put on him, where now he has to sacrifice for the betterment of other individuals that are beneath him as a leader. So for in that sake, yes, most men need marriage. Some men don't need it. Some men may want it. They may not need it. And I can tell you this, I've seen people that are in marriages, but these are the anomalies, right? I'm not talking about the generality here. The anomaly where some men in marriage are more piece of shit than they were when they were single, right? And I've seen single men that has their crap together, well put, that they will make amazing husbands to their best friends that's in the opposite sex, right? And so I've seen those dynamics. But for the most part, in generality, I say most men do need marriage. Especially, I mean, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, I mean, you said Trigger Mike is for religious men,
traditional men,
and broke men.
Well, right now, the ones that really, really need it are the broke men.
But it's hard. It's
like,
hard. Trigger Mike. So it's hard being in a marriage and being broke, bro. It's hard being in a marriage and being broke.
That ain't no woman who'll be happy with that.
Ain't no easy thing. Yeah. In 2023, good luck. In America in 2023, good luck. That's all I can
tell you from experience. At some point, they get used to the cock. It don't matter how big it is. At some point, no matter which way you turning them, it don't matter how you talk.
They need something to eat, and they need some heat.
Right.
They need some AC, and they need a car. It's
They don't want to be responsible for the bills as it is.
Right.
Like most women probably won't admit this, like just admit it this way, but they want to be taken care of like a child. That is the reason why they calling you daddy during sex.
No.
We go over this.
Hey,
Maladjusted ways and
we just trying to make you feel good.
No, she said they just trying to make you feel good. They lying to you.
I think there's some trauma there.
My daddy's name is not my husband's
They
name.
faking. They faking.
My daddy has
The
his own name.
podcast we need to lead a prayer for his ass.
I'm keeping it I'm telling you, this is not me bragging. I spent a lot of years. I spent a lot of years being taken care of and being supported by women. When I came up, I was born in the 70s, bruh. We had the Max, Superfly, you had Pimps, you had Snoop Dogg and them coming.
No doubt.
These people was promoting, bro.
No doubt. JayZ.
Even my godmama told me when I first started having sex, and I told her about it. And, I was like, man, I wish I had some money so I'm 14. I could get this for this girl. She was like, wait a minute. When y'all have sex, who do all the hollering? You or her? I was like, her. She said, well, why are you trying to get her a gift? Right? You doing all the work, she doing all the hollering, but you trying to get her a gift, right? So I came up in a generation where it was made to be cool to get stuff out of a woman. You know what I'm saying?
And that only lasts for so long, and it ain't all it's cracked up to be. It ain't all it's cracked up to be.
For so long, because the irony of it was I wasn't really good at it because of the fact that I was still a Disney kid. So I still wanted to be in love. I wasn't a true pimp. You see what I'm saying? I want to
well, look, but that's not a pimp. Hey, yo, that's more like a gigolo. Hey, Beans, it's more like a gigolo than a pimp.
Right.
A gigolo. That's
even
a gigolo.
Even that pimp gigolo, whatever you want to call it.
Gigolo,
I was really trying to be in love. I really wanted a family of my own and all of that, right?
So you was a square.
I was really losing what I was really doing, hindsight being 2020, is that I was trying to use sex as a way to heal from the lack of nurturing and love that I didn't get from my mom when I was younger. So I was trying to find that in sex with women, and then I allowed that mindset to permeate in my head, which was, well, it's okay to get money out of it at the same time, right? But that ain't what I really wanted. My desire really was to be provider, protector, right? That was my true innate desire, but I was allowing that mindset to convince me that it was just about getting something out of a woman when it wasn't. I was so busy trying to, bro, when my son mama, light skinned, she's her grandma, her great grandma was Jewish, right? So she light skinned, long hair, pretty feet, pretty face, pretty fingers, pretty everything, right? I won. You know what I'm saying? I don't need no money. I got the light-skinned girl about to give me a light-skinned son. I won. Right?
What? That's crazy, fam. What are we talking about? That's crazy.
Pray for this, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, podcast.
But look, this is the thing. This is why this kind of like it goes towards what Trigger is saying, because a lot of us guys is out here like that, right? Now take them guys out. That's probably 20%, 25, most max, I would say 30%, but it's probably not even 30, maybe 25% of guys that are really broken from a lack of nurturing and loving from their mother, right? And
no. That's more like 60% in the black community. Yes, that's more like 60% in the black community.
I take your word for it, right? But just to finish up my point, what I'm saying is that in general, right? Because if you look at it, I read the statistics not too long ago. They said it's a specific age. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was somewhere between 24 and 38, right? They were saying that the number of single women, right, purchasing houses is outpacing percentage-wise the number of single men purchasing housing, right? Because men are really simple. I ain't got no wife, I ain't got no kids. I don't need 5,000 square feet. I don't need a ranch. I don't need the white picket fence. I'm cool with this 2-bedroom apartment, right? But the women are still trying to live out the fantasy, the dream, the goal of, I need the house, I need the kids, the dog, and all this other stuff. So that's what I'm saying. The most men, and most just, I would say majority just means 51%. And I would say that 51% of men, according to Kevin Samuels, single and childless, yeah, them guys ain't that motivated. They cool with going to FedEx.
Our brother is one of them, and he's motivated.
Listen, check this
Nah,
out.
nah,
Brother
see,
Blake
yeah,
is
that,
one of them. He's
yeah,
motivated.
yeah.
You know what I've
I have to
noticed?
say, I disagree with you. Just because you single and childless, which I am now. I was almost married, but I had to kind of pump the brakes on that for whatever reason. But yeah, man. Oh, and to answer the question, do I need to be married? I would say no, but do I want to be married? Yeah, I do want to be married, but I don't feel
Wait,
that
what
I
did you
need.
disagree with?
But no,
You said
because
you
you said
disagree.
that.
He said
You said
they're
something.
not motivated. He said
Yeah,
he
yeah. You said yeah. You said the particular
To go
percentage of
above
men
and
that are in my
beyond.
demographic. Listen, you said the specific group of men that are in my demographic are not motivated. That's what I
They not.
disagree with. Not
They
why I
not
disagree.
though. Well, the
How you gonna
numbers
tell
say
me?
that they not though. The number, if the average income for a black man is 45K, that is not motivation.
I
That
make
is
more than
not
You know what I've
$45,000.
motivation.
I've noticed the ones that
Wait,
are.
say that one more time. Hold on, JC. Say that one more time, Blake.
I said I make more than 45,000. I'm saying how you gonna
Then you're
tell
not the
me?
average man, are you?
Well,
Then
that's
you're
what I
not
just
the average
said.
man.
That's why I disagree with you.
You can't disagree with a statement about average men and you're not average.
But
Do you
wait.
see how that doesn't
Can I
work?
ask y'all a question? Why do we why do we always diminish it to average or below average people? Why do we always do that?
It's
I don't
not a
understand that.
diminishing. It's not a Israel. It's not
I
a
don't think.
diminishing. We're accepting the numbers for what they represent. I think 45K for a single man is okay as long as you don't live in New York or LA. Bro, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I live downtown Louisville, Kentucky. My rent is $700 a month. So it's all about where you choose to live at. If I'm making 45K a year, stop playing with me. I don't even make no money right now. All I have is the money from my podcast, bro.
Yeah, little podcast. Let me ask you a question though.
I'll be on here showing my ass.
Just because you're average,
Wait,
though.
but hold on. I really would like for y'all to answer that. Why on the panels, right? I know it's speaking to a broader audience. I get that, but I just don't understand why we diminish the conversation. And this is what I was alluding to before in the conversation with you podcast.
Yeah.
To me, the way I was brought up, you always shoot up, right? If you shoot for the moon and you land on the stars, you did good, right? But if you shoot for the damn ground, shit, where you gonna land at? You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why the conversation always goes down to average or below average instead of where we would want to be. You know what I'm saying? Or what we're shooting for.
I got you.
I don't
Trigger.
get that.
I got you, Trigger. Israel, let me explain it to you. Try listen to understand, right? Bro, what we're saying is this. The comment that Trigger is making refers to men in general. So we have to look at what men in general do to answer the question. So I'm with you about shooting to the moon and landing on the stars, but this particular statement that he made out of his mouth was about what men in general do.
But this is the problem though. Wait, hold on, Trigger Mike, real quick. I got you. But this is the problem though, Trigger Mike, right? When you asking individuals to answer a general question, right? And that is subjective because guess what? In general, the people that I'm around might be different than in general the people that you know and you're around. So my experience, my general experience might be way different than yours. So you can't, that's really a subjective matter to say in general. None of us can speak for in general because we all know different demographics and different groups of people. And that's what the brother Blake was alluding to.
But
the
that's
people
why
that
we
he
use
knows.
numbers, Israel. That's why we use numbers. So we don't have to get your experience or my experience. We just go with what the numbers.
Let me add to that too. If I can, let me add to that as well. When we use general, we're trying to get people not to use their own anecdotal experience. We want to say, here's the diaspora of blacks or black people if we're talking about black relationships. And what's the average person going to do? What's the average woman going to do? Regardless of where you are in the stratosphere, what's the average person?
But how can any one of us speak to that?
Let me just finish.
I'm asking you a question. How can any one of us speak to what the average person is going to do?
Wait a minute. Wait a second. I hear you. Let me try to answer that.
We'll move on.
Say now, I disagree that the average man doesn't want a wife and family and a kid, even if he's making 45 grand. It might be tough for him to find one. And to your question, we're not passing judgment on an average person. We're saying, here's what the average person does, and what's the difference between the average person and where we're at in our life, right? So here's the generality of the average person. But here's some of the people who are a little above that, and here's the people that's below that. So if you look at like a bell curve, we know that there's people more elite than the average person, and we also know that there's people below that. So, but to start the conversation, let's start there, and then we could move up and down based on where the conversation goes. And that's how I look at it. And that's just the way to look at it.
All right, babe, we got to move on. We got to move on. And I just want to correct something Israel said. You said shoot for the moon, land on the stars. The nearest star is trillions of miles away.
So, hey, listen.
The moon is less than 250,000 miles away. What's that?
So they told you. So, hey, listen. So they told you. So you shooting up. You're not shooting for the ground.
Not everybody should homeschool.
I was like, what?
Hey, so they told you,
everybody. I was like, shoot for the moon.
Hey, listen, you knew what I was trying to say. Hey, listen. Hey, yeah, if you shoot for the moon and you land on the stars, that's good, right? That's good, right?
Crazy. I never thought about that, Trigger, ever.
But then you want to shoot for the ground and you land on the ground.
We actually been on the moon. How many people gonna die trying to get to a damn star?
Right.
You think that we've been on the moon, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
You know it. All right. So I'm sorry. No, we got Moses DTX and Mr. George. Do men need marriage? Let's try to keep it short.
Yeah, keep it short and simple. So I think we gotta understand marriage is always gonna be God's foundation. But I'm gonna give it an unbiblical point of view, since that's some people out there don't watch it. I believe in God. The thing about marriage, a woman's purpose is to connect a man's mind to his heart. Okay? And the man's purpose is to connect a woman's heart to her mind. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know that, and that's not even Bible, so I'm gonna keep it simple. Women allow men to escape their logic. Men allow women to ground their emotions. That's it.
This nigga pimping.
I like that. Church. I don't know if he even answered your question, but that answer was so damn smooth that
connect my heart.
I don't even know if you got a copyright on that one or not, but it's getting stolen.
It's stolen. Church.
Use it.
We got it on tape.
Somebody go put that on the t-shirt.
Connect your heart to your mind, baby.
Good God. Like, I'm gonna have to watch this back like 5 times. Mr. George, I'm sorry you had
you was talking, you had theme music behind you, like da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na.
You might as well stand up with your hands like,
I was waiting for that though.
No, I can know.
He knew he was about to kill her too. Like, I got bars.
I got bars right now.
He listened to us like we in a rap battle like this.
Right. You stupid Trigger, you dumb, bro.
Like they don't even know. They don't even know the fire I'm about to drop on.
What room am I in?
Right.
All right, Mr. George, welcome. Do men need marriage?
I can only speak from my experience.
Yes, sir.
For me, I'm more happy when I'm married, and that's just me. I have a more purpose when I'm married. I provide for my family better when I'm married, and there's a lot of men out there that's like that. They looking for a woman who they can provide for, a woman who can make them happy, and that was me. So not all men, not everybody should, can be married. Not everybody, marriage not for them, but for me, and I know a lot of other men like me. That's their purpose. Now, do I have a drive? Yes, I do have a drive. I always have the drive. I'm a widow with no children, and when I had my family, when I had my wife, that gave me more of a drive. Gave me a more of a gave me more purpose. I work for my family. Provided for my family, and that's how and that's all I have to say about that situation.
Yes, sir. All right, so as we wind it down, I got one last question for everybody. Everybody's gonna give me a hot minute. I might as well call this question hot minute. The last hot minute question. All right, so 1 minute or less, we're gonna start with JayZ and go around. Is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared for it? 1 minute or less. JayZ,
They're unprepared.
unprepared.
They're unprepared. And I will go back to what I said initially when I first got on the panel. You're enlisting into something that you don't know nothing about. You're not being educated on what the institution of marriage entails. The mission statement is objective, is purpose, is mission, and whatever you want to call it. I think if people enlist in the institution of marriage prior with that understanding, that is not about your happiness, is about a much bigger objective than just yourself and just your feelings and just your quote unquote happiness, I think we will see a lot of better results. So I think it's just the people that are unprepared for it. And I'm not talking about the legal system. We don't want to, that's a whole different topic where the legal system in the West is totally out of whack, but we're talking just the institution of marriage itself outside of the legal system. We're talking just specifically about the institution itself. I think people are just unprepared because people just don't have the knowledge about it in its whole. So that's it.
Bet. Little podcast.
Two things can be true at once. I think it's both. I definitely think the institution of marriage is messed up. I don't think people really understand what it is. They're trying to pick and choose and pick it apart and make it what they want it to be. And then I also don't think people are prepared to not what I consider the institution of marriage, which is just being in a relationship together, knowing how to cohabitate. I think that is one of the biggest problems with the so-called the people inside of the institution of marriage. We're not really being taught how to cohabitate, and we are very, very selfish, and we don't have enough sex.
Pray for my brother.
What?
Pray for my brother. Pray for my brother. Literally,
I have that one best friend that's just like you in my circle. Always literally that one person in that circle, bro. Always
can give a 99% profound response. Have everybody hanging it on his last word.
Until the last
like,
word.
Dick. Like the last word. Dick.
Like what?
Good God Almighty! All right, Moses.
He does it intentionally, though.
You need it. You need it.
I think people are just unprepared, and I think if people just understood that marriage can benefit more than just being used as a way of saying it's like a kryptonite to men, like in some ways, but it's not. It really just depends on what you understand and the definition of what it means. But the thing is, I think courts is definitely a problem because men can't have the power to not be a dad, but they have to be the dad. And women can take the right away if they don't want to be a mom. And that's the power of the society that we're in. So I think men and women have to deal with both sides, not prepared, and the society's way of marriage is set up. So that's my answer.
Appreciate that, sir. Callie Bev, is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared for it? 1 minute or less.
Unprepared. They haven't seen a successful one. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what the communication is supposed to be like. I'm of the belief that, you are supposed to be happy in your marriage. I think happiness is good, but we're not talking about happiness as far as he made me mad this week or he getting on my nerves this month. Let me go ahead and dip. No, that's not it. Usually when you have your friends and they get on your nerves, you can go on ahead and put them off to the side for a while until you go on ahead and you're ready to deal with them again. You can't do that in no marriage. He is there, she is there in the house with you 24/7 for the most part, for lack of a better phrase. But I think that marriage is cool. It can be very fulfilling. I'm one of the ones that's, best friend for life. I got me a best friend for life out of it. You know what I'm saying? And, it's good. But I saw a good and I saw a bad. Spit out the bones and eat the meat.
That's what podcast. You got anything to say to that? I feel like that tickled some of your senses when you said eat the meat. But anyway.
Trigger, just to piggyback. I mean, I know I have you on social media and whatnot, but that's the only. If you ever see my social media, my IG page, all I post pictures just about my family. It's just about my family, my wife, myself, my kids, my wife, myself. That's all you're gonna see, and the reason why is because it motivates people, and I know people want that. At the end of the day, there's something inside of every individual that wants a piece of that wants a successful marriage, that wants to have somebody by their side that can give them good companionship and enjoy their time, you know, and see mini-me's made in their own image, you know, running around them and everything, the lasting legacy. They want that. And that's the only reason why I post stuff about my family, because I know intrinsically people want that ultimately. And I think if people promote that consistently and people start seeing like what Kylie Bev just stated, when they start seeing successful marriages like that and the beauty of marriage, I think people will gravitate towards that and want to do it correctly.
Not only are you right, if you feel like you have people in your Instagram that went stale, like they're not looking at your stuff no more, post a picture of your family. That'll be the most liked picture you have of the year. Your wife looking good, you looking good, looking hella responsible. They're watching. They just, you know, they like to creep when it's just you. But they be, oh, it gives them all the feels. Oh, look at this. They'll comment and everything. So you absolutely right about that. Ms. Blake Holmes.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'd have to agree again with the lady up on top. I can't see her name. I'm on my phone, but I have to agree.
Top, huh?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. That was funny though. Well, look, so check this out. Who said that, man? Who said that?
Of course, podcast, man.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna let that real. Okay, anyway. So I have to agree with her because see, my parents have been married for like 50 years, right? And the lady that I was with for about 5 years that I almost got married to didn't see the same example that I did. So I would say unprepared, you know. I think a lot of times, well, what I noticed in some women, I'm gonna use her for an example. And I'm not gonna say all women, but some women, I think, misuse, to allude back to Kevin Samuels, they misuse their prime years. Like when they're about 27, 28, maybe 26, you know what I'm saying? I think they take that time for granted. And then when they get a little bit older, I don't think they know how to be in a real relationship. I'm gonna just put it like that. I've seen that firsthand. I think they focus a little bit more on their career because every woman is not a wife that you're with. You can have a cool girlfriend or whatever like that, or a home girl or something like that. But there's a difference between being a wife. Just being a wife is something different. You just have different qualities as it relates to me per se. You know what I'm saying? And that's the experience that I had with my ex. She was sweet as pie, but she just wasn't a wife, unfortunately. And I think that she took her younger years for granted. And it was unfortunate. I just empathize with that in some women. I think they take that time for granted because that's y'all prime. Like, I'm an older cat now, but I can go get a younger chick easy.
We can't empathize with that at all. They literally squandered that. A lot of them
did, man. I was like, man, this woman, I'm like, damn, because she had other dudes, right? Before me, obviously. So I'm like, man, why you ain't try to, holler at you? You was cute, you was in shape, you look good. If she was sweet, I'm like, damn.
Just one married.
But then you found out.
I'm just saying, it wasn't all her. I'm gonna keep it real.
But still. To be a terrorist today. All right.
I'm not being a terrorizer.
All right, bro. What you got on it? Is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared?
People are just unprepared. So this is the thing. In all seriousness, I say this all the time. People have to learn how to be committed to their commitments. And that's really the baseline of it. It's not about how you feel. F your feelings, because like the happy thing is that every time I hear the happy thing, I cringe, because that is part of the major problem of people in America and the major problem with the reason why there's so many divorces today. This happy thing, that's so elusive, that's so deceptive, that's so conditional. If it's sunny outside and the weather is perfect and I have a pocket full of money and the birds are chirping, I'm happy. But if it's raining outside and stuff sucks, then I'm not happy anymore. So you got to be able to be committed to your commitments And like you was alluding to with the duty to understand that, yo, this is your partner. This is the person that you signed up with, regardless to how things are going. It can't be, yo, you made me mad today. Yo, I don't like you. Because guess what? In a marriage, you're not going to like your spouse every day. You're not going to, sometimes you really not going to like your spouse. Sometimes you can't stand their guts. But yo, you got to be able to still rock with them regardless. And you got to be able to still come through for them regardless. So I think that being committed to your commitments, people are unprepared because they're not committed to their commitments. They're too concerned about I and me instead of us and we. And then they're too concerned about being happy. And that is so elusive and so deceptive. Happiness does not really exist in the confines of what we really believe happiness is. That's it.
Hey, so Moses, I gotta let you know, he coming for your bars today, bro. He wants a Grammy too.
Bars.
Just saying.
I'm trying.
Are we giving out Grammys out here?
Still going. We're not done. We're not done.
Mr. Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared for it?
He's muted.
Sorry. I say good, very good points, Israel. Everybody was making good points. I'm looking at where we are with the modern era and social media. I don't think people are unprepared. I don't think people want to be prepared for marriage anymore. I think a lot of folks don't want to be prepared because of the misinformation that's out there. And so you'll hear both men and women, just two words that come to mind: misunderstand what marriage is and mistrust about the institution of marriage. And it varies between men and women. A lot of men are talking about the mistrust of the system and the impact the system has on you in marriage, with women having a loaded gun, all the things that you work for, they could take just because they're not happy. You know, at some point you wake up 5 years from now, you look at you and say, I want to graduate from marriage and I'm not happy. You know, that kind of stuff. And women misunderstand marriage because they think they're slaves, because feminism told them if you're married to a man, you're his slave. And the big buzzword of submission is completely out of context, right? And so I think these things are factors that make marriage unpalatable to both men and women for different reasons. And then there's a small segment of us who are proponents of marriage. You know, all my younger cousins and siblings and everybody else who has children, and they still with the lady or the man, I said, you guys need to get married. You know, so we got a couple of marriages coming up in my family, and if I'm the only one speaking from the rooftop saying, if you're going to be with this woman, for my my male cousins, and if you're going to be with this man and y'all have kids already, you'll need to research the institution of marriage so y'all can have a family unit that's cohesive. And because there's nothing else out there. You know, looking over the fence, thinking you're going to find somebody better. That's what's wrong with everybody, thinking that I can't choose this person because I might have somebody better. But what about your kid? You know, what about the kids? Like for me, when I got married, as soon as I started having kids, you know, divorce was out of off the table. I didn't care whether I was happy or not. I'm not leaving my kids so somebody else could come in the house and try to raise them.
Factual.
You know, so luckily I didn't have to worry about that, but still.
But that's the thing, but just not to cut you off, but most men feel that way and most men operate like that. But unfortunately, the women are not operating like that anymore.
Well, again, you know, you just got to hope that you vetted the woman that you're with properly, right? And that's another thing, but I don't want to go down there. A lot of people don't vet their significant others. I mean, people get married without having one significant conversation. You have good sex, I have good sex, why don't we get married? You know, it's crazy. You got to ask questions. You got to find out, you know, how people move, kind of connect to a woman's spirit if you're a man, kind of connect to your man's spirit if you're a woman, and see if y'all could jive, because of the times that might not be good. I told my wife that, but when she was my fiance, she said, I mean, just be real quick. She said one day to me, you know, I'm just trying to put my best foot forward, right? When we were talking, I said, I don't want to know about your best foot forward. I want to know when your feet stink. I want to know if I can deal with you when you're not at your best. You know, and I want you to do the same for me. And that's where, you know, so we made that connection. And so I said, just be yourself. You know, we'll figure out what we could jive together. And, you know, we did. You know, we got engaged in 5 months, but, you know, it was it. That's all I have.
When you know, you know. Thank
Yeah,
you for
when
your
you know.
wisdom, sir. All right, wife school. Is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared for it?
I believe that people are unprepared. Like many have said, we had caricatures of like Disney. Now we have social media, and people are choosing people based on superficial characteristics. And these partners have no depth to them. They don't know how to be consistent. They don't have any integrity, and it's just like the relationship is suffering. Then you have children, and then it's just downhill after that. I like what Mr. Holmes said, that he recognized that this wasn't his wife. A lot of people are just bypassing that and just going to be married, and then later turning around like this wasn't the best choice that I've ever made. And so therefore perpetuating these broken homes, these broken families. We can't come together. We can't build. We don't have community. So I just think from that aspect, it's the people. The people need to get it together. The people need to get information. We have information everywhere. We have these podcasts, and just people need to tell the truth. Don't glamorize it. Like Mr. Payne said, be ugly, be stanky. Like just show the real side of it. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. I remember lots of times when my ex-husband said, "Oh, I quit my job today." I'm like, "What?" Boy, don't you know we got 3 kids? So it was like, damn. So it's like, it's not easy all the time, but are you going to run and do this and do that? You got to stick into it. You made that commitment. Like Ms. Izzo said, commit to your commitments and let your children see that. Oh, my mom, she's so good. She's happy. You know what I'm saying? Like they need to see that. It's not always easy. It's not rainbows and sunshines all the time and things like that. So it's the people. People mess up everything. People make it good. People mess it up. So it's the people.
Yeah. Indeed. Mr. George, take us out. Is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people unprepared for it?
They are very unprepared for it. They don't understand what is a commitment. They want to be, most people to get married, they want the title of marriage, want to be a husband, want to be a wife, but they don't want the commitment. And along with that, they want to be single. You want to go around here chasing your man. You want to go around here chasing tail. Your woman, you want to go around here chasing the other thing, and nobody want that commitment.
Bars, married, single, bars.
So they just want to be married, but they don't want that commitment. So it's crazy. You see them all the time. Oh, I'm married, but I got 2 girlfriends on the side. Yeah, and that's not marriage. And then soon as someone said they were saying that they don't, soon as the heat turn up in the marriage, soon as they're a problem, they're ready to run. Yep. They can't deal with it. So I think they're not prepared. They don't understand what marriage is.
I appreciate that, man. Y'all have been great today. I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds each, starting with JC. Shout out your platform, anything you got going on. JC, go ahead.
My fault. Well, I don't have a platform yet, but you can find me on my Instagram, my government name, JC Hernandez _ I do follow back. So yeah, and just want to encourage the men out there, especially the married men, continue the fight, continue the mission, according to God's standard. And that's pretty much it.
The mission, big facts. Little podcast, 10 seconds or less. What you got?
Well, I got a show that come on the Lapeef Network called the Trigger Mike Show, so y'all can catch me usually. I'm just Little Podcast produced it on YouTube. Little Podcast produced it on YouTube. Subscribe to your boy, and if you get food stamps, I don't need them. I get my own. Section 8.
Yo, every time. Moses DTX. 10 seconds or less.
Hey guys, this is Moses. My Instagram is MosesDTX _ as you can see. And I host 2 podcast shows. One's called the Daily Growth Podcast, and the other one's called Tradition and Modern Talks. And if you want to check me out, I'm going to be starting tomorrow on our new episodes, dropping tomorrow for the month of February, and so on for the new year 2023. And thank you, Trigger Mike, for having me on as a guest. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Always love, my brother. I'm gonna subscribe too. I gotta find it. Said Tradition and Modern Talks. Are you dropping more bars like you did a little bit
I will
earlier?
drop it. It's on my Twitter. That's on my Twitter, actually. So that's where I got it from.
Can you put the link in the back chat?
I was gonna say put the link in the back chat. Yeah, in the private chat. All right, Callie Bev, what you got? 10 seconds or less.
I'm on Instagram. I make vinyl print t-shirts, Smoke Storm prints. Check out NMG Snipe. I help promote his music as well. And that's about it. Catch me on the Instas.
Yes. Always faithful. I appreciate your cooperation today and your participation, rather. Blake Holmes, sir, you got anything you want to shout out? We can't hear you. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Damn, he looked like Lamar White. Hey,
you're on mute, man.
My bad. No, I don't have anything to promote at the moment. I just enjoy the conversation. So, appreciate you having me on. And yeah. So that's it.
You always welcome. We on Monday through Friday, 10:30. Yeah, between 10 and 11. So please jump on anytime.
All right.
Israel, my man. What you
got? My man, Trigger Mike. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Yo, I got a YouTube, Israel Mills, like Israel, like the country. Mills MILLZ 4183 YouTube. Check me out. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe. Help me get to 1K. You know what I'm saying? So I can start doing these platforms too. But salute. And yo, for real, I think that we as a people, Black people in specific, no matter what country you come from, we need to really focus on the family unit, and being committed to our commitments and stop being so flaky.
Facts. Drop that in the back chat. Drop your channel in the back chat so I can follow. All right, Mr. Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Shout out your platform real quick for me.
Yeah, it's just my marriage, politics, and sports. Marriage, politics, politics, and ampersand sports. And I've just started fooling around with the YouTube channel, putting some stuff on there, just so I can speak out loud. See how it goes. So I'm trying to just learn the craft, but I'm not doing it every day. If it wasn't for you, Trigger Mike, I wouldn't be on almost every day. So I try to catch you. I had a couple of things I had to do earlier. So I appreciate being on the panel. And so that's it. Marriage, politics, and sports. You can find me there.
Appreciate that, sir. All right, The Wife School.
Hola. My page is The Wife School Podcast. The same thing on Instagram, YouTube. And I'm just trying to help young women or single women or women with children just be positive about the outlook of marriage, and just to be more feminine, not aggressive, and in the presence of men, just know how to conduct yourself as a woman to possibly get a husband. Hey.
Bet. I want to say your name like that thing on Instagram. Mr. George? Mr. George.
I'm just here to join the conversation. So I don't have anything to say.
I appreciate that, y'all. Let me read these super chats. All right, we got Love C. This show has become the highlight of my late morning. Great topics and conversations. Trigger Mike, Beans, Callie, JC, Israel. Hashtag my people. Love, all love. Thank you for the support. Tech Nobility, $5. We watch the Chinese build Chinatowns in every major market and still overlook the playbook. Man, don't give me more. We'll go for 10 hours today on this topic, bro. But facts. AP, my man, $2. Blake Singh. Hell no. To the no, dog. It's your accent. Mr. Blake. All right. AP again, I'm proud of you, black man, because I'm broke to the mother. He lying too. He lying. He not broke. My man, Clement Gray, appreciate the consistent support. $5. Ladies, can you do Ephesians 5:21 through 24? Men, can you do Ephesians 21 through 24? Or the same thing? If not, don't have sex. Sex is only available through marriage. Do the Bible. He's consistent. If he gonna be one thing, he gonna get you them Bible verses. SB, $5. What's going on? Security Boss, awesome show. Love your monologue, Mike. That means a lot coming from you. I've watched your content and I derive some of my style and intensity from listening to you talk about marriage. I should have had you on today. but there will be a part 2. This is a never-ending topic. We got a lot to teach on this topic. If you want to be honest, we got a lot to teach from every mode of life. People who married, divorced, the parents were married, you're not married. Everybody has something to contribute to this topic. Jeffrey Woodland, $2.50, my 4th contribution. Love my brother, my military brother. I appreciate it. Interracial relationships, sex, dating, and marriage, $2. People want to be married and don't want a marriage. Very true. I appreciate all the love. All right, y'all. We're about to end this stream.
All right, fam. Thank you, man. Peace.
No doubt. Where is it? Bet. Hey, man, thank y'all for coming through to the Trigger Mike show today. All right, before you leave, share this out so people can watch it. Remember, I said people need to hear this. This particular topic is very necessary in our community today. We outline what the value of marriage is. You heard different things from people who were married, aren't married, divorced, separated, people who are thinking about marriage, from men, women. All of these perspectives are necessary in society for you to understand the totality and the value that marriage still has. We asked the question at the end that stated, is the institution of marriage the problem, or are people just unprepared for it? With the overwhelming majority of the panelists said people are just unprepared. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means y'all need to look inward. These are mature adults telling you what to do. All right, like and subscribe on your way out if you have not already. Like this and get it put up higher in the algorithm. We appreciate you for it. Thank everybody who sent a super chat today. I really appreciate that. Remember, your support doesn't always have to be monetary. Does not. Not only likes and subscriptions, you can also share this out to people who need to hear this message. And I'm really big on that. Hit that share button right there, right down there, and share this out to your Instagram chat, to your Facebook news feed. All right. I really appreciate that. And any other social media you may have. All right. So coming up is Chaotic. My man Chaotic. Was Tyree Nichols innocent? I think he's about to go in on that one. All right. So again, we'll be back tomorrow at the 10:30 mark. I'll see you then. And until then, this is Trigger Mike signing off for today. Had a great show, y'all. Till next time.